Let's get close again. So we're going to have a family reading today. And hopefully afterwards you will feel that it was worth your time and sacrifices to be here. But before we start, maybe we'll have a word or two about the workshop, its purpose and so forth and so on, so that we all can get in the same space here. And of course, nobody better to lead us in telling us what to do than Guru Dasa. So she's been trained to tell us what to do. So come Guru Dasa and tell us about this workshop.
Check on. By way of introduction, the greatest mystery in life is not life itself, but death. Death is the culmination and blossoming of life, and not the end of it. It is the ultimate mystery of life. In death, the whole of one's life is summed up. In death, you complete life's journey. From the very moment of your birth, the process of dying starts. Already, you are moving towards death. Life simply becomes a pilgrimage and journey towards the moment of your death. It is simply a transition into the afterlife. And what follows the present life is only more fun. Only the body dies, not the real and deathless self, soul. And with the right understanding, bodily death can be made easy and auspicious. Not only for one's own sake, but also for the sake of the loss of our cherished loved ones as well. Bhagwan. Now the next part explains what will be going on, kind of acts as a guide for you to consider. The last duty, Dharma, in a marriage and for life partners is at the time of death. The supreme duty of a husband and wife towards each other is to take spiritual care of one another and to help prepare one another to have an easy and auspicious death and dying. After all, how can you claim to love and cherish someone until death do us part, and not care for the well-being of their soul at the time of their death? This is especially necessary in old age, and therefore you must often and seriously remind each other of the coming of the time when death will separate you. And therefore you must live wisely together as those who are conscious of the parting hour of your beloved at the moment of death and dying. Do not live together as if you have forgotten or in denial that one day you will be separated from one another. Everyone will one day die, sooner or later. Instead, you must radically understand and remind and help one another to do all that which is required of both of you in order to be prepared and ready for either your own or the death of your beloved. So when the death and dying of one or the other is at hand, each will possess the skills, knowledge, and preparedness to be able to provide comfort and help to the soul of one's beloved rather than falling apart. Death and dying is that time in their life when they will need you the most. Death is unavoidable. And when it comes time for them to die, they're not going to feel good about it. But if you yourself are utterly unprepared and unfit to die easy and auspicious death, then you can do little to prepare or help your loved one's death be a spiritual liberation. The goal and purpose of this workshop is to help its participants to be better prepared to help each other's death be an easy death.
So get comfortable and let's get busy and let's get ready to die. After all, that's the most ultimate task of life. And being in denial about it certainly is not going to stop it from happening to you and to everyone that you love. Okay? Superstitions are not going to help you at that moment. You have to have understanding. You have to have some knowledge, and that knowledge must be translated to some skill sets. Okay? So just be comfortable. We all know one another here, so this is more like a family reunion to help us fulfill our duties that come with loving one another. After all, as already said, how can you claim to be in love with somebody and not care about their soul? That does not add up. Because the soul is the self of the other person. It's not divided. It's the soul that is in the body. That's the self that you should be in love with and not the body. You see? This is going. That's the self that you take your marriage vows to. To love, to cherish, etc., etc. You see? So, we hopefully will clear up some misunderstandings. Might create some more misunderstanding, but you know, that's how it goes. I think you have your handouts, so we're going to go through that briefly. And we're going to try to have some time for some interaction and some Q&As and things of that nature. But this time is very short because this is a huge topic. And you all know that since day one in the house around, we've been talking about some aspect of this, haven't we? This is the ultimate teaching. This is the ultimate reality that you have to become capable of dealing with. You see? Most of the other reality that we're involved in is just a reality made out of your mind, your fantasies, your ignorance. You see, that's not the real reality. Your mind has made that up. That's your imagination. You see? Birth, and the rest of that process that goes on after birth, all that has to do with dying. You started dying the day the doctor slapped you on your ass. Okay? That's the reality here. Now, it doesn't have to be morbid. Are you following my argument? But just like in ancient times, our ancestors understood that. You see, the first lesson that you teach a person when they come into the world is the lesson on death. You're going to die. Get straight about that. And that way you prioritize your life. You don't piss it away on trivia. Are you with me? It makes you value life more. You see? So far from being morbid, this understanding and awareness of your impending and unavoidable death of this body makes life more meaningful and significant and reduces the probability of just wasting it on bullshit. Okay? So, get your handouts ready. And let's try to get into some of this discussion today. I don't have to tell you, some of you have lost loved ones. I'm pretty sure. How many have lost some loved ones? Right? So you know that the loss of a loved one is a very difficult thing to go through. It's a very painful, a very stressful ordeal, you see. It's not necessarily pleasant, you see. There's always that feeling of helplessness and so forth and so on, you see. And that feeling of helplessness and powerlessness can be minimized some. You see, when you know what you can do to make the death and dying of a cherished loved one a little easier for them, and consequently easier for yourself. So there's some fundamental things you have to understand, because a lot of it has to do with understanding and attitude. You have to understand a little bit more about the very context of these relationships. You have to understand something that is more than obvious about it. Are you with me? And for that, there's some words that comes from one of the, a recent mystic who was passed on. Some of you are familiar with them, that you're studying the Easy Death text, right? And these words are really beautiful, so I'm going to read a little bit of this to you. And I know that some of the terminology may be a little different for some of you, but hopefully you will intuitively understand what is being pointed out here. There is right relationship and there is wrong relationship. Right relationship is based on understanding the reality. How did that loved one even come in your life? Are you with me? And what is your right relationship to it? And one of the things that we fail to understand is that those loved ones were never yours. You don't possess nobody here. Are you with me? Everybody in our life is a gift, and we talk about that almost every time we come together at Southside, right? You're gifts to one another, and underscore gift. You see, we are gifts from God to one another. Nobody in here owns nobody. You see? And when you understand that, it makes it easier, you see, to let go of the loved one when the one that gave you the loved one is ready to take them back. They were never yours. They were not your possession. Follow my argument?
Yes, sir.
So, Adidas Samraj, writing in his own unique way, says that the cycle of the sacrament of universal sacrifice is basic to this way, meaning that you have to sacrifice. Are you with me? Whatever is given belongs to God, and whatever is returned is also God's. Make a note of that. Think about that a little bit. That's very deep. That's very deep. I have to sit down when I read this.
We should all have a copy of it.
Everybody got a copy?
No.
Well, you'll get one afterwards. Okay? Whatever is given belongs to God, and whatever is returned is also God. That includes your children. You see, they come through you, and you get the illusion that they're yours. They're not yours. They're given to you as a gift to enjoy. You follow me? More about that. One is relieved and enlightened by the allowing that everything is given by God. If you have a child or you have a wife or a husband, you must assume that the person literally belongs to the Lord. Okay? Not you, the Lord. And someday they just do not get returned to you. That's all. You see? They don't come home from work. An accident has happened. Are you with me? They don't come back home to you. They go back to the one that gave them to you. Are you all following my argument? And when that happens, remember that you were related to them through service and love. This is very interesting. You see, the principle that governs relationships is the principle of love and service. Seva, what we call seva. We're here to save each other. Are you with me? That's the beauty of this. Love and seva is the principle that governs relationships, right? Now, most of us don't understand that. We go into the relationship and we presume that the purpose of that relationship is for the other person, right, to do what I want them to do to make me feel better. It's very selfish. Are you with me? those relationships cease to be fruitful, productive, and happy relationship. Because you're practicing marriage, you're involved in the sadhana of marriage, the spiritual practice of marriage, with no understanding. Are you with me? Bound to fail. Bound to end in misery. You have to understand that, you see, what it's all about. I'm not going to exhaust all of this here. We're going to kind of thread it through, but we need to get a right understanding from the outset here. And that this surrendering of everything to God and receive everything that you have as having been a gift from God is crucial, it is foundational. Who's texting me in here? I know it's one of y'all. Forgive me. Okay. Y'all all right? Thus, everything we own and use and enjoy in our lives, including our possessions, even your possession, your car, your house. As Barack Obama would say, you didn't do that. You see? You didn't do that, right? You don't even know how to make a cell phone secure. Are you with me? From God. Not your own. And this is the kind of attitude that we want to take today, you see? And hopefully we'll be able to unpack this a little bit more as we go. So let's turn to our handout, the care of the soul. And let's go through this together and see what we can see. Any questions thus far about anything that has been said? About the philosophy of relationship. You see, because the relationship is going to be a reflection of your philosophy of relationship. And if your philosophy of relationship is based on ego, based on selfishness, based on getting things to go your damn way, then that kind of philosophy of relationship is going to end in failure. You can stay together, but you will not be happy. You can stay legally related, contractually related, because y'all got mutual debt together. Both y'all sign the same damn mortgage. You know what I'm saying? So you hooked out of debt, not out of love. Are you with me? Wasted relationship. All right. So let's get into this a little bit. Let's go to part A. Yes, I'm reading this correctly. Taking right care of the beloved one when they're dying. Taking care of the dying loved one. When we know how to take care of the dying loved one, it makes their dying easier for them. Are you with me? Easier for them. And that's the whole purpose, right? That's the whole purpose. We're serving them even in their dying. We've been serving them from the day we said I do to each other, and we've been serving them all the way through the lifetime of that relationship, all the way down to when they're dying. We ain't done. Because the Bible says, until what? Death is apart. They ain't dead. We still got love. Right? And we need to understand that. Right? So once your beloved has been medically determined to have a terminal illness, right? Terminal illness, which means there's no more hope. All right, you follow me? It's clear now that the body has become too weak, too diseased, too damaged to resuscitate it. Now you have to understand that medical science have reached a point today where they can resuscitate that body. It's not like it was 30, 40 years ago when we were studying science. Science has gone way farther than it was when we were in school studying. Are you with me? And so all of you have heard about these near-death experiences, these NDEs. Well, that's a old concept now. See? Because what is actually the case is that the NDE is actually an actual death experience. It's an actual death experience. It's just not in the final phases of death. Are you with me? And this is very important to understand. Death is not a moment in time. It's a process over time. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes.
Because we've already said that when you're born, you start dying. That's a process over time. It's a process over time. It's a process over time. You see? And even when the body drops, you follow me? That's just another point in the process. It's biological death. You see, clinical death. What is clinical death? Have you thought about it? I mean, when are you considered dead by the doctors? Yeah, one of the things when there's no more heartbeat, right?
No brain activity.
That's right, no brain activity, right? One more. Obvious one. Right. No more respiration. That's the clinical definition of when the body is dead. Yes, sir.
What do the NDE stand for?
Near-death experiences.
And after-death experience?
No, actual death experience. See, right? Because the body is clinically dead. But here's the interesting thing. Today we know that even when all of these are the case, right, there is still every possibility if the person is in the right situation where they can be resuscitated. Think about it. In order to be resuscitated, you have to bring what back into the body? The life, the soul, the self. Which means it didn't die. Are you with me? Otherwise you can't bring it back into the body, right? So it's a resuscitation process here, right? So you know you give CPR, right? We got a CPR training, maybe you should train all of us. You could do CPR, stimulate the heart, defibrillators and all of that stuff to jump the heart back off, right? And when that heart jumps off, it starts pumping blood, right? And that blood is now reoxidizing the cells, right? And the brain and breathing and all that kicks back in. True? That's resuscitation in a nutshell, right? You see, they just jumpstart all of these things. But when you are terminally ill, your doctor has looked at your medical condition, you stage 4 cancer or whatever, you understand? Even if you resuscitate the person, they still go die because the body is too diseased. Are you with me? So they do not resuscitate. Right? And send you to Roger Ver so he can make a living. You see. But the point I'm making is that this point where there is clinical death, when that occurred, it ain't all over with. Are you with me? Not all over with. That's very important to understand that. So much more can be said about that. But you need to understand why your job is not over with, even after they have died at the body. That's when your work begins, because they're still there. We'll get into that a little later, right? So once they've been diagnosed medically as being terminally ill, now we got to help them do some things, right? What are some of the things we want to help them to do, right? I'm just going to put things up here, you all can help me as well. But certainly we want to help them get their business together, right? Get the business handled, right? Get everything in order. It may not be your wife, it may not be your husband, but it may be your mama, your daddy, your brother, your sister. So the first thing you want to do is help get things in order. Get where the insurance, get all this stuff in order, right? Does that make sense? Handling all unfinished business. All unfinished worldly business. You need to help that person, you see, handle that business, you see, because they're on their way out of the body, they're not going to have their body to do it themselves, correct? Hmm? What else? Some of you have been studying this stuff for a long time, so I want you to really share with one another your insights.
I remember when we were doing the hospice work, one of the things you told us was people have to have an opportunity to tell their loved ones that they love them, forgive them, ask to be forgiven.
Yes, do all of that.
And also tell their story.
Tell their story, yeah. Have them tell their story about their life, so forth and so on. You see? You all know I'm not going to spell out everything. I hope y'all literate. Tell their story, so forth and so on, right? You see, you got to forgive and be forgiven. You got to get straight in that relationship. You see my point? Because no relationship is absolutely perfect. You know what I mean? We say things in the moment that we don't mean, that hurt one another, and things of that nature. We develop grudges and so forth and so on. And here's an interesting thing. If you read some of the testimony that came out of NDEs, you see, part of the process that begins to occur as one is moving into dying and death is a life review. Life review.
Is that like telling their story?
No, that's past
That's
that.
past that, okay.
Yeah. You telling their story, they still die.
Okay,
Here, the body's dead.
okay.
So they move into a deep.
So they have their own life review.
Right.
Okay.
You see, that's part of what comes up now in the after death part, after the death of the body. You follow what I'm saying? Not after the death of you, because you don't die. Body dies. You see, you keep that on moving. The self, the soul, the consciousness that you are keeps on moving. Yes, beloved.
You might want to try and make them as bodily comfortable as possible, or
Yes.
cooking, making sure they're
Yes.
hygiene.
Yes, you want to do that too. I'm just going to finish off this train of thought here, but you're absolutely right. So the interesting thing that is going to happen to everyone sitting here is that at a certain point in the death process, you will have a life review. All of them. You will see all of these things. You will actually see how the way you did your life impacted others. Thought, word, and deed. And it's not just a kind of observation that you can make now by reflecting, you see, because your reflection won't take you beyond your skin. The life review, the life that flashes before your eyes, at that moment in the process of death, you will see things that you have said and done to people, but you will feel how it impacted them. You follow what I'm saying? See, it's not intellectual. You see, you said something to somebody, right? And you remember saying it, highfalutin, and you just walked away. You see my point? You don't know in that moment how that made that person feel. You don't know that. You don't have the compassion, empathy, or any of that. During the life review, what you will experience is exactly how that person felt when you said that. You see? Not your ego defending your behavior. That's not what's going to happen. You're going to feel the harm and the hurt that you have done to other people. And shit ain't going to feel good. That's going to hurt. You see? If you don't know you're an asshole now, you will know that later. Trust me. Because you will feel it. It will be visceral. You will feel their pain that is associated with that interaction that you have with them. You follow me? You won't be able to rationalize your behavior. You will be judging yourself. Ancestors call it the halls of Ma'at. Are you with me? The Christians talk about St. Peter. But the reality is, you're going to be judging yourself. Yes, ma'am.
I just got a question. I'm sorry, I need to go back to the storytelling part. What's the story?
What you did with your life.
Okay.
You see.
Think anybody be listening? Think they really listen to that?
I think
No,
Think they really be listening? get
No,
them.
no, no,
You
you
talk-
get them to tell their story.
Okay, their story, okay.
Right. And I know because, see, the thing that we have to understand, their dying is about them, it ain't about you.
Right.
Follow what I'm saying? It's about them. That's another gestalt we have to be able to make a shift. But in any case, you all understand the life.
Yeah.
So what is very interesting, when you see people who have near-death experiences, they go to a certain point, get resuscitated because their body is healthy enough, right? It's not that disease, so the doctors will resuscitate them. They do the CPR and all that stuff, and person will start, heart will start beating again, life goes on. Are you with me? But they would have went far enough once the body itself was dead into the process to have the life review. And they see that, and they experience that. And that's why the majority of them come back changed.
Yeah.
Totally changed now. More loving, more kind, more sweet, more focused, less selfish. Because they done saw and they done felt how they were doing life. And they delighted and they glad that they got a chance to get this shit right again. And that's where they become focused. Are you with me? It's like that, sort of like that. Now back to our consideration of taking care of that person. And yes, it's what I just said. You want to make sure, say it again now, what I just said, everybody can hear.
You want to try to make them as comfortable bodily as possible.
Yeah, you don't want to be disturbing their bodies and doing all that stuff. You want it to be easier for them physically. You follow me? You start trying to make them more comfortable and so forth and so on, you see?
Yes.
And that's very important to do. You're also careful, you know, because sometimes, at some point in that terminal illness phase, right, they might slip into a coma, you know what I mean? Now you still got to be careful.
Right.
What you're saying around, you know what I mean? All the talking you're doing and all of that, how you are emoting, how you are acting in their presence. You got to be careful because they ain't all the way dead yet. They can still hear you. You know what I mean? So while you're in there and they really are, have lost more and more consciousness because those elements are dissolving in that moment. Are you with me? You see. And you complain. You follow me? This guy's gonna shit on himself again. Oh my God. You know what I mean? They hear that. They hear that. You follow me? They hear that. So you have to be careful. So you have to keep them comfortable across the entire spectrum, right? But physically, emotionally, psychologically, keep them comfortable. See, watch your language, watch your behavior, and watch the language and the behavior of anybody coming within their environment. You see? You want to be tender. With me? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What else?
Give them permission.
Well, it seems like one thing that's kind of common to most of those processes is the howling and screaming,
Mm-hmm.
the emotional outbursts, you know,
Yeah.
the just total hysteria.
Yeah. So you want to protect them from hysteria, yours and others, right? All that, don't die, mama, don't die. You just said something that you want to give them permission to go, right? It's all right. You're not doing anything wrong. Yeah. That which is born will die. You see? So you want to give them permission to die. Yes, Dr.
We help them to let go of their attachments.
Yeah, now we're talking, you see. You want to help them to let go,
Yeah.
break that clean. You see, let them know you're done here.
Yeah.
You see, finish it. Your duties and responsibilities to the world relationship, that's all over. You see, Mookie G, you ain't got to get up and fix nothing for them, baby. You done. You let them, you know, right? Can you remember that? You write that down. Don't be trying to have nobody cooking and go get my car washed. Man, move your shoes. Man, terminally ill. Gonna put his shoes in the right place. Wrong way to deal with it. Are you with me? What else? I mean, you all have pretty much hit the key things here, right? Anything else? You want to make it the environment that's pleasant for that person, both human and otherwise, you know what I mean? Don't have all that loud music playing, you know what I mean? Cut the damn TV down, you see my point? Don't be in the by that bedside talking on your phone, you know what I mean? And so forth and so on. You understand? You want to make it easy. What you don't want to do is disturb the person. Right, you want to try to contribute to the peacefulness of the environment, both human and otherwise, of the dying beloved. Are you with me? Make sense?
Yes.
So these are the things that will help our cherished loved one have a easier dying. Makes it a little easier. A little easier. Yes,
I have a
sir.
question. When the loved one is dying, and maybe people are sitting around, they're not necessarily making a lot of noise, they're just sitting there, but they're all in the state of anxiety, or they're all in the state of some kind of emotional upheaval.
Mhm.
Can the dying person feel that or not, or is that just...
Yeah, because it depends on the volume of it all. But the ideal situation is that you want to keep it quiet. But people are people are going to be people, you know what I mean? So you can't stop that process. Maybe you could tell them to go into another room somewhere, create another environment, because people are going to grieve the loss. That's human, you see? So you have to bring intelligence to it. You know, and each situation will be unique. And so a lot of this will require you to be spontaneous, very aware, very vigilant, so that you can adjust to the circumstances of the situation. You follow me? It's going to be hard for a wife not to scream, you see, as her husband is near their dying, because it is a stressful thing. She's going to cry, the husband going to cry, and so forth and so on, you see. But you want to give them the space to do that separately, where possible. See? Because again, you want them to let go, right? So you mustn't be doing anything to bring them back into the body. Are you with me?
Yeah.
You want them to let go of their clinging to this body, because they're trying to cling to the body. You see, in most instances, right? Because they feel, I'm dying, just because this body is dying, I'm dying, because of your whole lifetime you have been identified with being this little physical body. So they're already full of fear. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. So you want to take away that fear. You want to let them know that it's all right, and so forth and so on. You want to tap all that down. Are you with me? You see, as best you know how. So that it's less traumatic for them, right? But if you are acting in a way that is trying to bring them back into their identification with this body, you see, that is not going to work. Because the body, you see, there's no heartbeat in the damn thing. It's already diseased. They get back in it, and they're in some trouble.
Yeah.
You see my point? And that's why a lot of times the doctors will really make a real close diagnosis, and they see this body, the damage that has been done. Because when you stop breathing, when respiration ends, all of the billions of cells in your body are not oxidized. When the heart stops beating, there's no way for the blood to move, you see, and carry that oxygen to the brain and to the organ. And what happens in this absence of oxygen is that all that carbon dioxide, the toxins in the cell, they all become manifest. You follow me? You don't want to get back into a body like that, you see. And even if you are able to get back into it, you'll suffer. And there's a point after 3 days, you know what I mean? If this person is not resuscitated, there's no way now for those cells to be reoxidized. Are you with me? It's all over. You follow me? You see? So technically, absolute bodily death is 3 days after clinical death. It's a little complex, but you can read up on the medical science of resuscitation. So it's at a whole different level. Even if the body is chilled, you follow me? If the body is chilled, you know, then that slows down. You see the deterioration, because the cells won't store oxygen in and of themselves, you see. But if you put like a chill saline in the veins and so forth, get the body cold, you know what I mean? Then it preserves a little bit of it. But eventually, in absence of hypothermia, the cells are just going to self-destruct. You see, you'll get a lot of swelling and so forth that is occurring in the body. The body will get bloated. That's the cells are dying, right? So forth and so on. And you get that odor, right? I mean, you work in the bin, you can smell it. That's the stench of death. That's what is happening. Are you with me? Death is from the inside out. So, I know we have another section here, and I just want to remind you, if you have to take a washroom break, you're on your own. You see, if you have meters and you know when you got to feed those meters, just feel free to go feed your meters so you don't get a ticket and so forth and so on. I'm going to keep rolling. And what I'm asking is that those of you who are on the path and in the house and so forth, for your loved ones, that designated person that you have here today, when you, after the workshop, take them on lunch and continue this. Are you with me? There's some books, Only Rise, those Matter Lives and Death books. I suggest if you have a guest that is not quite as schooled in this subject as you are, that you get them a book, let them read it so they understand the whole process. I'm not going to be able to cover all of that today. It's a deep topic, but we want to get started, okay? Anything else to add to that before we move on? Yes, sir, Ron.
One of the key things in which that, we have to practice is selflessness. We have to take ourselves entirely off the picture to become tender and attentive to our beloved. So that you need to forget about yourself totally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of the phenomena of grief that you witness at the time of the loss of a cherished loved one is very selfish, quite frankly. You see, a lot of self-concern, you see, because that's your husband who's died. Now the concern is that, and you traumatized because now, shit, who's going to help you pay the mortgage? Who's going to change the oil in your car? Who's going to make love to you? And so forth and so on. And you're grieving the loss of service to you that you were getting from that other person. Are you with me? Follow my argument? You see. Or you're grieving the loss of your wife, because now who's going to do your laundry? You see my point? Who's going to cook for you? You follow me? It's all selfish. It's about you. You see? And you're grieving it. You see? That's why you get so angry. You see? If you look at the grieving process, right? You see, the first thing that it is chopped, because you've been living in denial. You thought you and this bird going to live forever and ever. Totally divorced from reality. You've been living together as if neither one of you going to die. Total delusion. So when death happened, first experience you had, you shocked. You didn't think this was going to happen. You thought you were exempt. That death can't happen to you, or it will happen on your own terms when you get ready. You know, with me? Insane, ignorance. Are you with me? Deluded. And then it happens. As it always happens. Just like that. Nobody can predict when, where, how, and under what circumstances you will die, nor can you predict when, where, why, and under what circumstances anybody else will die. You don't have that kind of knowledge at all. But you assume out of your ignorance because that death is not going to happen because we don't talk about death. You know, it's just not talking about it. It's going to stop it from happening. It ain't going to stop it from happening. You just won't be prepared when it does happen. That's all. Follow me? And so there's shock, right? Then you're in denial. You all know this, but for the sake of those who have not really had a chance to consider the process of grief, right? Then you're in denial. I can't believe it. You follow what I'm saying? No, it can't be dead. That can't happen. I was just talking to her on the phone. I just seen him yesterday. You're in denial, right? You see. Then when you really are forced to accept the reality, then you are angry. So a lot of grief is just anger. You're angry at the person, why you died. I told you to stop smoking. I told you to stop drinking. I told you to stop texting when you're driving. I told you to take a ride. I told you to, you see, you're angry. Or you're angry at God if the person got shot him by accident by one of our youngins out here, then you're angry at God. You know what I mean? But you're angry. You're angry because the loss is service to you. Some service that you will receive from the other is no longer going to be there. And you are grieved at your loss. You see, that's why we said you're grieving the loss of a loved one, right? But it's a kind of negative thing. Are you with me? It's negative grief. Are you with me? It's not positive grief. It's negative grief. Are you with me? Now we could try and tune it and show the distinction between negative grief and positive grief and so forth. So, but I'm gonna leave that word to the one who brought you here. And because it's just too much to try to incorporate into the time that we have here. But it's very interesting, right? So there's anger, then there's, of course, bargaining, right? And then the next one is surrender, but not in the form of acceptance. You just can't do nothing about it. It's defeat. Better word is defeat, right? Then there's acceptance. You follow what I'm saying? But very few people reach the acceptance level because they didn't have the right attitude that would govern the relationship in the first place. You thought he was yours. You thought he belonged to you. You forgot this is a gift given to you to be used to. You see? But it's going to be returned. You see? To the one that gave it to you. When you don't understand that, then as far as you would go is surrender. They died and you still ain't, but you can't do a damn thing about it. Powerless. You don't like it. I wish I could change it, but you can't. You see, it's surrender. It's not acceptance. You never even had the right attitude to begin with, to be able to go straight. You won't even have a child. Go straight to acceptance. There's no, all this drops out. Are you with me? That's positive. You see my point? It's a different thing altogether. All right. We can really say a whole lot more about all of these sections here, but I just wanted to kind of give a map and an overview of the kinds of things that we can do once that loved one has been diagnosed as being terminally ill, that witches may be themselves to do not resuscitate me, do not bring me back into this cancer-ridden body. You know what I mean? And you want to serve. You with me? Because you are performing your last task and duty in that relationship is to take care of their soul, right? And follow their wishes and so forth and so on. You see? So you have to have some discussions about all of this. And hopefully that discussion will begin today. You know, if your husband or wife is here, your sons and your daughters here, this is the time to get together after this workshop and sit down and let's have a family meeting on reality here. You see? To do what we are obligated to do, especially if we claim to love one another. Are you with me? If you don't have a designated person here, okay, you got this knowledge and so forth, duplicate it. You see? Because just as that cherished loved one is going to need you, you're going to need them. Too. Are you with me? It ain't like you are ready to go yourself. Even though you might have been practicing, doing some meditation and things like that, but you know that your practice is a long way from providing you with the ability to have an easy and auspicious death. You know that, right? So you want to try to recruit somebody that can kind of help you in that moment when you too will have to give up this gross physical body and do the death of the body. Make sense to you? So again, we look at number two, we talk about, again, you already have talked about this, so helping them to surrender, right? Basically, that's what we're doing. We're trying to help that cherished loved one Surrender to the process. Are you with me? Right? Because when the body dies, the body dies. Follow me? There's a point where there is no possibility resuscitation can take place in that case, right? It's over with. You got to help them to surrender because they've been attached to the body, just like we're attached to the body. They have identified with the body. That's a deep attachment, you see? A deep clinging. And you got to try to handle them in such a way that they begin to let go. Begin to relax. To cooperate with that process. To overcome their fear. Now, a lot of times, after we've read all these deep books on philosophy and now all these deep conversations, you presume that, well, I know all this stuff, I got all this good information, when I die, I'm going to be afraid. No, that's bullshit. I guarantee you, you're going to be afraid. Very afraid. And you better have somebody to help you cap down that fear. Are you with me? I don't care how religious you are, how saved you are, you ain't that saved. Are you with me? And we're not that spiritual. You are not spiritual. You see, how can it be otherwise? You've been attached to or identified with your gross physical body all of this life and many other lifetimes. Who you see? Don't delude yourself. Have someone to help you also do these things. To cooperate. You see? In classical spiritual teachings across all of the traditions, one of the most popular metaphor that they use, like for instance, we use audio rope, the mistaking of a rope for a snake. Well, the traditional analogy and metaphor for this concept is compared to a woman giving birth. Now, sisters in here should really begin to understand this, right? When you is giving birth in childbirth, right? The process is equated with something like what happens when a woman gives childbirth, right? You get pregnant, right? And so forth and so on. And that's going to be all kind of changes in your body, right? And so forth and so on. There's a progression in this. They become progressively more and more uncomfortable, right? You see, but you can't reverse that. We're talking about, we're eliminating abortion as an option here, right? Because in death, you can't abort it. You follow what I'm saying? No abortion in death. So in our analogy here, that means you're not going to get an abortion, you're going to have to deliver this baby, right? And so, sisters, tell us what some of the ordeal you go through that is associated with childbirth.
People pain the same.
You can knock this out of the ballpark. Stand up, baby, so we can hear you.
I think it's the acceptance, like when you finally get to a point after the holiday movement, it's like, I had this thing out of me.
Right. So it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You got to go through a lot of discomfort physically in the body, right? True?
Yeah.
And you got to go through that, right? Right? You can't stop it, can you?
No.
You can't reverse it, right? You got to endure it.
Yes.
True? Right?
It's emotional, like, I know for me it was emotional, just like, just thinking, what did I do? What's going on? Why did I make this decision?
Yeah, well, I'm doing this, right? But it's too late.
It is,
right?
it is.
Right, because you can't reverse it. It's like that. Yes? How do I?
Well, I remember because I had heard so much negative about how bad it hurts, I remember being afraid.
Yeah, fear.
I was afraid to, and I didn't have children for a long time because I was afraid.
You were scared.
I was scared.
There's a lot of fear involved too, right? But you're still already pregnant. So, fearful or not, right? You're in the process now, right? In a process that can be reversed. Yes, Scott. Sister
I
Scott.
was in labor 11 hours.
Woo!
And when this chick came out, I said, bitch, she gonna quit coming out. She was 20 weeks old.
Wow. So there's an ordeal that is associated with childbirth, right? The contraction, the pain, right? And as you get closer and closer to that delivery moment, right?
Yeah.
Right? And the contractions start coming, right? And those centimeters start increasing, right? That pelvic starts spreading, right?
Yep.
Start hurting, right?
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Right? And the doctor start telling you, breathe. What they're telling you, cooperate. Breathe, cooperate. Don't be clenching. You know what I mean? Or you're gonna kill your damn self. Right? See, you gotta open up. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it happen, girl. Right? Breathe. Right? Now, if you don't do that, right, you might die in childbirth. True? You gotta cooperate with the process, right? And when that head turns, start coming down the fallopian, right? Right? That brings back bad memories for some of y'all. I just took another. But the point I'm making is that you have to cooperate with the pain that is inherent in the ordeal of childbirth. You got to cooperate with that. You can't fight that. You can't stop that. Similarly in death, you got to cooperate with the process. It's a process, right? You see, there's going to be some pain. It's physical and emotional. You see, the loss of your whole world and all of your relationships. That will have an emotional impact on you. You gotta let that go. You see, you gotta let it go. You gotta cooperate with that. You see, with the reality that you are becoming detached, whether you like it or not. Viragia, as we call it, it's occurring here. Right? You couldn't achieve viragia, detachment while you're living. Okay. Then you have an idea of how much struggle you're going to have, because viragia is going to happen to you, ready or not. And you will be detached from everyone and everything that you are attached to. And you got to cooperate with that process. The more you resist it, the more you're going to suffer. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So all of those things, let go, relax, cooperate, give up that fear. Those of you who are meditators, you will recognize this process, because that's exactly what you have to do in order to succeed in your daily meditation as well. You got to sit down there, relax, right? Let go, take the pain, and so forth and so on, and all of them. True?
Yes.
Yeah. So you see how meditation in a sense prepares you, right? For this inevitable event that is awaiting you. And you cannot avoid it. You can't avoid death, and nobody that you attach to can avoid it either. You see, either you can die ready or die not ready, but dying is going to happen, right? And so it's a serious thing here. Are you with me? It's a serious matter here. You see? You can't leave it up to hope, wishful thinking, superstition. You follow what I'm saying? And nobody can save you from that. You follow what I'm saying? I can't save you from the ordeal of death. You're going to die. What is this business about saving you? Are you with me?
Yes.
Nobody is saved from death. So what saving are you talking about? You follow what I'm saying? Nobody's going to come here and die for you. That shit ain't true. Nobody died for you. You're going to have to die. Just like nobody was born on your behalf, ain't nobody done died on your behalf. You follow what I'm saying? Wrong understanding. Yes, beloved.
What about someone that dies instantaneously? They don't get that chance, right? They don't.
That's another thing. Those kind of deaths that are sudden, accidental, where we were looking at a video Tarsi had made of an accident that was there in Broadway, where a guy got hit by a car and knocked his whole head off. His head laying there by there. He didn't know he was gonna die like that. You may die like that. You don't know. Those kind of deaths are so traumatic. You see, the person won't even know that they're dead, and they're terrified. You can imagine hovering above your physical body during those few hours immediately following death, where you are still not fully separated from those bodies, and you see your head here and your body there. Is that gonna freak you out?
Yeah.
Big time. Big time. Many of these people go on to become ghosts, and so forth and so on. So you're right. And maybe your loved one. See, sometimes we don't know. See, we don't know. We really don't know. Because your loved one could be that person that got hit by a bus, coming home from work. You at home somewhere. You see my point? When you go down there, you know, he or she is splattered. You follow what I'm saying? You don't have no chance to make their dying comfortable and easy and auspicious and all of that. You don't know. You don't know. You see, you just can maybe hope that you'll have that opportunity, but there's no guarantee. Are you with me? But if that is the case, then you're going to still have to be able to handle your own reaction to that. You see my point? And that of the children and relatives and so forth and so on. So you don't know. Hence the urgency of it. Right? Hence the urgency of it. So it's like that. You see? Helping that person to surrender. You see? To let go. And when we say let go, we mean totally let go. Right? Let go physically, emotionally, mentally, across that whole spectrum of their being, you know, psychologically, let go. Right? And you all have already had that insight because you already have offered up some of the things we can do, you know what I mean, to help them let go of all of that stuff. Have them understand that they have no further business in this world. No further obligations in these relationships. Finished. Your business with the body is over with. Your business in these relationships is over with. Your business in the world is over with. No more business out here. Follow me? And that way, their attention is returning into cooperating with that process. Are you with me? Does that make sense to you all? For real. You see? How are we doing on time running tomorrow? What's here? We're okay? All right. So we got a mortician in the house, so he should be able to really help us on this one, huh? Taking care of the body. Now this is interesting because the crucial period is about 3.5 hours after the medical death of the body. That's crucial because once the body has died, then, and those of you in the house, you understand koshas, right? The pranamaya kosha, et cetera, right? So the pranamaya kosha, the energy body, the subtle body, separates from the physical body. That's the energy body. That's what animates this body. See, what happened is that there's an energy in here that animates the body. The body does not have its own energy. It's being animated. You see? By life force, prana. It's an energy. Okay? Now, upon the physical death of the body itself, this energy begins to separate from it. And it takes about 4 hours or so it's interesting. It's 3.5 and 4 hours because in resuscitation science and medicine, the same 4 hours or 3.5 hours is also identified. So within those 3.5 or 4 hours, those cells completely become deoxygenized. You know what I mean? And can't be rebooted. Are you with me? The brain can only go so long without oxygen, right? And then it goes into sharp death. That's it. You know what I mean? It's what they call a knock-set brain injury. You see, like when you have a brain injury, certain part of your brain get injured. You see, and that part of your brain shuts down, but the rest of the brain is still operating. You can walk and talk. You understand? That part of the brain that had lost oxygen and so forth in blood, either due to a blood hit to the head or what have you, right? It's no longer working, but when you have what we call cardiac arrest, right? Cardiac arrest means the heart is done. It's not pumping no blood, and no blood is getting nowhere, right? Respiration has stopped. You see, no air, no oxygen, right? Then the whole brain shuts down. Are you with me? It's not like you just got a paralyzed left leg no more. Nothing moves in the body. All gone. Are you following my argument? You see?
Master, what is it that takes 4 hours?
For the energy that animates the body to completely separate away from the body. You see? What we call in the Saba the pranamaya kosha. You see? Life, breath. Are you with me? You see? The most important thing in life is your breath. So in India and other cultures, they have a whole science called pranayama yoga, breathing, how to breathe. In Buddhism, the whole beginning of meditation, anapatisati, begins with learning how to slow down your breath. Because breath is life force. You follow me? And that's what happens. You see, at the time of death, there's no more breath, right? So that means that the pranamaya kosha is separated from the body. That's why there's no presence. I mean, you ask people who are working in the death industry, embalmers and so forth, morticians, they'll tell you the body just laying there, but there's no presence in this body, none. You see, and doctors will look in your eyes. You see, one of the things when they take your pulse, right, they take those vital signs, right? Heartbeat, right? No heartbeat, right? You see, right? No respiration. And then they open your eyes and shine the light into it, right? The pupils, right? They don't dilate. No more brain function. Done. You know, come get it. It's all yours. Are you with me? So it's like that, you see. And so now this subtle energy, this life force is separated from the body. Right? That's a crucial period. You know what I mean? Very crucial. Right? In some tradition, they'll talk about the fact that even after 3 days, like in some cultures, they give you one of the 3 call. Even in resuscitation science and medicine, they're really not sure. You know what I mean? Because some cells, you can reoxidize it after 24 hours. Some you can reoxidize after 48 hours. And some, they say you can reoxidize after 72 hours, which kind of messes up with the Tibetan presumption of 3 days. You got 3 days after the death of the body. Provided the body has not been autopsied or messed with. Are you with me? Not cut up and all of that stuff. You see? To help that loved one make the full transition into the next level of the death process. Are you with me? Very complicated, you see, but that's why I have you all here to help your loved ones who are here, that you have brought here to serve you, really have top shelf stuff. I can't give it here today all by myself. Yes, beloved?
So what happens if there is an autopsy?
It just messes up the whole thing. You see, Because if I take your liver out, I can't resuscitate it. You know what I mean? It's out. You follow me? Now here's the interesting thing though, analogy, even though it's not as developed, but like stem cells and things like that, you know, they can take a cell, right? And resuscitate that cell and grow that cell, right? But your body is already decayed, so we can't help you.
Well,
We can help
in
somebody
terms of the
else.
process,
Yeah.
with the soul leaving the body, how does the,
Yeah, the soul or consciousness, you see. But then you have to understand there's consciousness and there's life energy. You know what I mean? Life energy is a kind of manifestation of consciousness, but not consciousness itself. Are you with me? It's a manifestation of consciousness. It's like the metaphysics of it is really kind of complicated. But when we talk about the 5 elements, you know, beloved, you see, right? Ether, air, right? Fire, water, earth, right? Those are not like the elements of the periodic chart that we learned in chemistry. You see, because all those elements on that periodic chart, those are gross. These elements that dissolve at the time of death, those are not gross elements. Those are different levels of manifestations of energy. Are you with me? It's energy. So when energy at the level, the highest level, that's etheric, you know what I mean? Like space. This is space here, right? Everything is occurring in space, right? Time, right? Now, when that energy, the vibration, you see, frequency of energy, when it slows down, you get air. You see, you can feel air going across your face. It's a little grosser. You can't feel space. I mean, it's a mental thing. But then when that energy and its vibration slows down some more, you get liquidity. You see, water, papa, you see, and so forth and so on. And when it vibrates at the slowest level on that spectrum, it becomes solid. Are you with me? Are you with me? So it's sort of like that. Not exactly like that, but even if you take water, right? If you freeze water, it becomes solid, right? If you heat water, it becomes what? A vapor. See, so that H2O is changing manifestations based on it. Sort of like that. Yes, beloved.
So with the 3-day period, is this the 3 days where, if possible, you let the body just be before you bury it, before you cremate it?
Yeah. In some tradition, that's a part of their culture. It's not part of our culture. But in certain cultures, in fact, in Tibetan culture, it's not disturbed for like 49 days. Because their culture have a way of determining whether that separation from the body has been complete. So what they do is they look here in the Sahasrara chakra, the vertex, that soft spot in the head where the soul comes into. So they said when it exits, you'll see a little spot of blood. So they don't mess with the body until they see that little spot of blood. If they don't see that little spot of blood, they know you didn't make it. You know what I mean? Out in time. So you went further into the after-death process. And then ultimately you get reborn. Are you with me? It's really interesting. But again, it's something that I'm hesitant to gloss over because it's so important. And you will have one another and have some time to get together. So I'm hoping you, Radasi, really educate your designated other. The better you educate them, the better they'll be able to serve you. So forth and so on.
Is that what you just talked about, the blood coming out of the saucer? Is that in the Tibetan book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So that's the most important point, you know, that 3.5 to 4 hours afterward, if you can get it. That's, you know, because in our culture, as soon as the person died, we figure that's the end of them. They're dead, get his ass out of here, get her out of here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
right? See? And so that's how it goes. And in our culture, it's very hard to keep them. You know what I mean? Because to keep them at home, you have to be able to take care of their body to do that. Now, already I said earlier that one of the ways you want to preserve and slow down that process of deterioration of the body at the cellular level, right? So that means you need to put that body on ice. Now, you ain't got to slap ice at home, so you get some ice packs, right? And you pack all those areas, right, in the body, right? Keep it cool, right? That'll give you ability to hold on to that body and serve your beloved for more time than the 3.5 hours. If you have that situation, you see, you have to also stop all the leakage, right? Because when that energy leaves the body, that animates the body, all of the muscles relax. So the person probably gonna shit on himself. You follow what I'm saying? I mean, is that right, Morticia? Yeah. So what you need to have some cotton balls, tape up the anus, you know, get you some tape, you know, because you gotta tape it up, otherwise it's gonna come out, you know, and so forth. Close the mouth, close the eyes, and so forth. So try to keep the room cool. I mean, there's a lot of different things you need to do to try to preserve the body for those 3 days, you see. Are there anything else that they can do right there to help slow down the process of deterioration? They can't embalm them, obviously. So what are the alternatives?
Cold air is the best.
Cold air, air conditioning, cold air. You know, where people want to keep them as cool as possible. Remember we said that in resurrection medicine, not resurrection, resuscitation medicine, they understand you have to keep the body cool. So now they have machines that do that. In certain hospitals where their practice of resuscitation medicine is at the highest level, they got machines that create hypothermia.
They got devices too.
They got devices too.
They can put on the body.
That they can actually put on the body.
And it'll keep it cool.
Keep it very cool. Keep it very cool. How much does that cost? So they have all kinds, and they got saline they can take, but we can't do that. But the point is, you want to try to keep that body as cool as possible, plugged up, you know what I mean? Close the eye. What can they do to close that mouth? Put a towel underneath there, roll it and close it, or tape it? Put a towel, yeah, roll a towel, put under the chin so the mouth closes.
We stitch the metal.
You do what?
Stitch the metal.
You stitch them? Yeah, don't try that. Don't try that at home. You have to do the best. But you understand, and then maybe you can get those whole 3 days to work with the recently deceased loved one. To help them in the next phase of the death process. Was there anything else as far as that? I mean, I'm not a mortician, so I'm counting on you to educate us. Anything else that you would recommend?
I'd like to ask, Dr. Beer, yeah. So how would, I mean, as far as the legal aspect, you're okay if you do that in your home? The legal aspect.
Right.
Legal aspect.
Because in some states, there's laws, you know what I mean, that govern. You know, because it can be a health hazard, you know, because most people are not going to chill the body and all that, and they're going to have that body in there, and it's full of toxins and poison, and so they say you can't keep a dead body in the house. Sometimes they say you can't even bury a dead body in your backyard, you know what I mean, because it's going to seep into the water supply, the roof, blah, blah, blah. So in certain states, there's usually laws governing.
Yeah, well, they want the body out as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And like when the person passes, they're either in the hospice care or not.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're in the hospice care, then they call it the doctor or hospice nurse, you know, who comes and pronounces the body, and then the funeral home comes right away. Or if the person is not in the hospice, then you call the police. And the paramedics come to try and resuscitate the body. And then the police ask what funeral home you're going to pick or whatever. And then we need to come right away with that.
So if you do it for 3 days, you have to explain this.
No, you should.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough, you know what I mean? You see, but it depends, you know what I mean? I mean, you just have to get the best situation if we can. But I say our culture is not designed for any of that. Yes, that's right.
To Roger Beer, are there any kind of precautionary measure for someone that dies from AIDS?
From what?
AIDS. Can you, I mean, do you go through the same thing with the cotton balls to secure the defecation and all that if someone died, is dying from AIDS?
We take hazardous precautions with, you know, whatever the death is.
Right.
Okay.
Because it might be, you know, you may be given one cause of death, but the body also had AIDS. In fact, they don't even list AIDS as
The cause of death anymore.
Okay, is that right?
So you don't know. So you take those universal precautions with whatever case that you have. But AIDS is a blood-borne pathogen. You know, so unless that mixes with your blood and, you know, sometimes you're not going to be affected.
Right. So the ideal is if they fall in the kitchen, hit their head, while you was at work, you get home, they don't bleed out. Well, you know what I mean? That's a whole different scenario. See, it's going to vary on the situation. See, but in terms of just pure biology, you know, if there's a bleed out, if the body's lost all that blood, probably not going to be able to resuscitate because too much blood is gone. Follow what I'm saying? So you're probably going to have a hard time, you see. So it's just the situations. The situation is going to determine, you see. There's no way to predict it. Yes, Sister Sarah.
In my experience of taking care of kidney patients during dialysis,
Uh-huh.
I had an instance one lady, she said, we just get the dialysis, I'm just so tired. She took her last breath, so we get ready to resuscitate her. But most people have on file, they do not want to be resuscitated or whatever. She had to we had to pick her up, put her in a chair, and go to the room, and prepare the body for when they had funeral homes, where we pick her up. And that was it.
Yeah, that bleeding out, the blood carries the oxygen. You know, those red blood cells, they got to carry it, you know. And then your white blood cells will start attacking. I mean, it's a mess. So, technically, that's about it. When there's a cardiac arrest, heart stop pumping. If they're bleeding out, that's it. You know what I mean? Now, as far as the body is concerned, but it'll create a circumstance where how you going to get there? You know what I mean? To serve. Now we're going to go to the next part here where there's something that else that you can do. And you just have, it depends on the person's comment and so forth and so on, right? But the key thing to remember is that even upon the biological, the medical death of the body, the core brain, you know what I mean? Where that is the link between prana and the gross physical body. There's still, you see my point? Something there. And remember, the 5 senses of perception that function through the organs of perception. The eyes are organ of perception. It is not the source of perception. Are you with me? You can see in a dream, right? You don't even use your eyes. You can hear in a dream. You don't even use your ears, right? So seeing, touching, tasting, smelling, and feeling, those are the 5 perceptions, and they are prior to the gross physical body. The gross physical body just is equipped with organs that brings their abilities in contact with gross objects. Are you with me? They exist after the death of the body, is what I'm telling you. Just like when you can hear in a dream, after the body dies, the hearing is still in place. Are you with me? Because the body was not the source of your ability to hear in the first place. See, your ears are just an organ. Are you with me? They're not the source of hearing. That comes from the mind. Are you with me? that survive the death of the body. Are you with me? Now that is what makes our ability to serve them, even after the body is clinically and biologically dead. Are you with me? Okay. I want you to hand out the next piece at this point. Then we're going to come back to this, but just lay this on the side. It will all confuse you.
Oh, wait.
Is it the same?
So you should begin the Bible of dying.
Okay.
Oh, is that what this is?
4. Yeah, 4.
Everybody got it set? Okay, this piece here, it gives us a sense of the way that we serve the deceased loved one beyond their presence in the gross physical body. Remember? We're not the body. We're that which is the body in this body. We are prior to the body. Are you with me? That survives the body. Yes, beloved.
I want to ask a question regarding a person that passed and it was traumatic. Would that person be able to be served too?
That, yes, to some degree, you see. Now, whether they'll be able to respond to the service, that's another question. Because your ability to be receptive to the help that is given after the death of the gross physical body will depend upon what you have done while you were living in terms of having management over your attention. You see, that's why in spiritual practices, the emphasis is placed on training your attention. Training your attention, because that is important. So when you are trying to help them after the death of this body, right, they can still hear, but they got to be able to pay attention. If they can't pay attention, are you with me? Then the help you give them is minimized. Are you with me? And we'll get a little bit more into that, Brother. I think that's comes with the metaphysical part of it, you see. So that's why it's so important in life to prepare ourselves for that. You see? And that's more than just getting life insurance policies and leaving of your will and getting your burial plot for the body and all of that stuff. I mean, that is part of the handling business. But that is not what's going to prepare you, follow me, to deal with the phases of death that is beyond the death of the gross physical body. You have to train your attention. If you have no ability to control your attention, then it's going to change your whole experience as you move further beyond the biological death of the body, part of the death process. Are you with me? The mystics say that when you're alive, you make the quality of mind. After the body dies, the quality of your mind is going to determine the rest of that journey. So if the quality of your mind while you were living was uncontrolled, can't pay attention, full of anger, lust, greed, attachment, ego, selfishness, polluted with all of that, that's a sick mind. a mind full of anger, full of lust, full of greed, full of vanity. That's a sick mind. Are you with me? That's an untrained mind. It can't concentrate. It can't pay attention. It's easily get distracted and so forth. Right? Well, when the body drops, that's the mind that you will have available to go through the rest of the process. The process is an interval. We call them, in Buddhism, they're called Bhagwan. Bhagwan. And those, in that culture, you see, the whole process is outlined. They have a scripture called the Bhagwan, you see. And Bhagwan simply means the gap, the interval, you see, between these various stages. You see. Like life moving stages, you know what I mean? We're born, right? So we have like a Bhagwan of life, right? This is a process. You've been born, you've entered into a process, a dying process, actually, the Bhagwan of life. And even within life, you have sub-Bhagwans, right? The Bhagwan of childhood, the Bhagwan of adolescence, the Bhagwan of old age, right? You move, right? Then you get to the Bhagwan of dying. You see my point? And then, of course, the Bhagwan of death, etc. What these are movements in a process. Are you with me? The literal definition of the word Bhagwan is transference of consciousness. You see, you just transfer consciousness to different stages in this journey. So the journey, consciousness is just traveling. You see, how you were conscious in childhood, right? You've always been conscious. You may not remember, because that doesn't matter. But you were conscious. You had the same awareness. This awareness is not changing. It's the same awareness you had when you were a child in grammar school and so forth. Same awareness. It's just traveling. And it don't stop traveling with the death of the body. You don't move. So you have a lot about those, you see, in that sense. But there's some major ones, you see. So there's about those life, and dying, no, old age. That's about us. In old age, you're in about those. Are you with me? Which means that the energy as well that is traveling. Consciousness is not diminishing, but energy is. Those elements that compose the gross physical body and so forth are diminishing over time, right? And by the time you get to old age, you can feel it. You can't run as fast no more. You can't see as good because the organs are deteriorating. They're falling apart. They're dissolving because this thing don't last. It's not even designed to last. It's a tool. It's an instrument. Are you with me? And so forth and so on. So you have that. And then, of course, you have the Bhagwan of death. You see? Because at the time that this energy starts separating, there's something that happens and that can benefit you, provided you have the ability to pay attention. If you haven't trained your attention, you miss that part, you see? The less control you have over your attention, the further you move along in that process after death, right? And that's full of all other kinds of substations, you see? One of them is what they call the Sipo Bhagwan. That's when you start getting ready to take another life. This gets very interesting. So those of you who have not been able to familiarize yourself with the metaphysics of death and dying and so forth, well, thank God you have Dasis here who invited you to put them to work. Okay? Put them to work. And serve you and give you that knowledge, not just for your sake, but for their own sake as well. Because the better and the more knowledge you have, the more service you can render to the loss of your beloved, and vice versa, because you're going to die too. You see? You're going to die too. Whether you want to or not, you don't have shit to do with it. Whether you're ready or not, you don't have shit to do with it. You were born and you already died. Time. There are some other Bardos too. See, the Bardo, these are sub-Bardos, the Bardo of sleep with dreams. Because you haven't experienced it. You see, what characterizes all the Bardos is something that's being experienced, all, right? So the Bardo of sleep with dreams, you know. And then there's the Bardo of meditation. Meditation is the kind of part, because there's experiences in meditation that you're having and so forth and so on, that is beyond the waking state and so forth. Much more can be said about that again, in that matter, life, and death. I don't know how many Radhasis, but I think Moody Raj did order some matter, life, and death. I know they're back there, so Radhasis, if you don't have one, get you one so that you have something to give to the designated other to read. Because, you know, they need to learn about all this stuff. And there's no way in the world we're going to be able to cover all that here. Does that make sense to you all? All right. So, this piece here, the puas are instructions that you give to the dying and dead person. Now, these are the instruction to give to that dying loved one. They're not dead yet. Are you with me? But they're on their way to the complete death of this body. And you want to start preparing them for what's down the road. Are you with me? To make their dying a little easier. Are you with me? And so you could start giving them some instructions, even when they have reached that point in their terminal illness where there's a loss of outward consciousness. You see my point? They're not dead yet. They're still conscious yet, right? So they can hear. So hearing is a very interesting faculty. Hearing is the first organ of sense perception to develop in a human being. We first hear. In your mother's womb, we hear. We can see, but we can't, there's nothing to see, obviously. But you can hear. Hearing can make contact with its object. A truck can go by inside that room. You can hear. Hearing is the first sense of development. It's a very important one. Are you with me? Hearing. It is one of the major modes by which we can pay attention. Right? Hearing. So much of what you know and you have learned through hearing. So hearing is key, and it's still there. Because it has never been limited to the gross physical body in the first place, right? So even as the body descends and the elements break down, they're still hearing. So pua is a Buddhist term, and what it really means is instruct them now. You see? Now it gets interesting. You see? And so you can pretty much read it for yourself. I've just composed a few of these stanzas. There's literature that informs every tradition that has their own version of pua. See, in Christianity, they give them the last rites. Are you with me? And so forth and so on. And in Buddhism, they read the pua. It's a whole book that you see. It's a scripture, the Bhagwan, and it's read over a period of 49 days. It's a immense book, you see, and so forth and so on. In Hinduism, there's other things. You follow what I'm saying? That it's read. Point is, the dying loved one, if they're fading away out of this body, can still hear. Their experiences are beginning to shift, and you can still instruct them. And so, you can kind of read over it, or maybe we could just have somebody read one at a time. I don't want to pick nobody old, but who will read the first stanza? Where Rataji was standing, I don't know if that mic. It's on. It's on, so let's sit it down.
Have you ever heard my voice?
All right.
Well, get on the other side.
He's belonging to
Yeah. Thank you.
On the other side.
See how you're doing to tell me what to do?
See how I'm doing it?
My compliments.
You just want to start from the top?
Yeah, you can read the note and then just read the first stanza, or do you want to read it all?
I'll read it all.
Okay, good, and y'all read along with me.
Using the 4 instructions for the dying loved one. Note, to see someone you love in pain and dying is very disturbing and stressful. But there is much that can be done to make their dying more peaceful and less traumatic for them and for you as well. Once it has been medically determined that your loved one is terminally ill, you should then begin to read these instructions slowly and with frequent pauses, twice each day up to the moment that clinical death occurs. Sit quietly by their bedside and read these instructions, poor, softly, but clearly to them. It's Venerable Bhagwan of Afrika. First stanza. O beloved one, what is called dying has happened to you. Now please listen very carefully to what there is to be understood and followed for the sake of liberation from all regret, fear, sorrow, and suffering, and thus be at peace while dying. The second stanza. O beloved one, what is called dying has happened to you. Even so, do not be afraid of being close to your inevitable death. Everyone will and must one day die, just like you. But rather be thou resolved, and instead now prepare yourself so that your death and dying will be auspicious and peaceful. Therefore, O beloved one, relax all resistance to the reality of your soon death and dying, and let go of all your old worldly goals and ambitions. Your business with the world and your relationship to it is now changed and is coming to its end. Therefore, cease clinging to your past and move forward with the flow of life, and thus be entered into that which is greater than destiny and a greater joy than mere mortal and transient human existence, and thus become free of all sorrow and worldly suffering. Third stanza. O beloved one, what is called dying has happened to you. And at last, O beloved one, the time has come when you must let go of all of your emotional and psychological clinging to wife or husband, children, relatives, and other worldly relationships. Your duty and responsibility to them has already been fulfilled to the best of your ability, and you must now, in this late time of your life, refocus your energy and attention and rightly conserve your remaining time to prepare thyself with all thy might, all thy mind, and all thy heart for the final task of life, and profoundly deal with the ordeal of your soon death and dying, and thereby attain the great liberation and the final freedom from all fear, sorrow, and suffering of mere mortal and transient human existence. Fourth stanza. O beloved one, what is called dying has happened to you. And this is your final opportunity to recognize, accept the mortality of your human and bodily existence, and thus get ready and prepared for the end of your bodily life. Bodily death and dying is certain and will soon happen to you. The 5 elements of which your gross physical body is composed of are rapidly beginning to dissolve. Your body now feels weak, heavy, exhausted, fragile, and quickly tires of walking, standing, etc. Earth, your eyes and nostrils have become dry and your skin tough and wrinkled, etc. Water, you now often feel cold and dehydrated and have difficulty digesting food, etc. Fire, swallowing food and drink have become more difficult. The bladder and bowels are weak, and your urination and the elimination of bodily waste becomes random and more difficult to perform and control. Air, And finally, your 5 physical senses have become dull and are fading away. Concentrating and paying attention is harder, memory has become weak, and you've become more easily confused. Ether. The collapsing and dissolution of the 5 elements are all signs and symptoms that you are in the process of dying and your pending death, which you cannot avoid. Mere hope and wishful thinking is not equal to being prepared, nor will they be of any value or help at the moment of your death. Therefore, O beloved one, you must make right use of your remaining lifetime and use it wisely. The 5th stanza. O beloved one, what is called dying has happened to you. Do not be deluded by any religious fantasy, or be afraid of those who are themselves still deluded and in complete denial of their own inevitable death and dying. Instead, O beloved one, now is the time to devote the remainder of your lifetime and living to seriously and really prepare yourself, physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, for the certainty and the real ordeal of the death and dying that awaits you and them. Do so, not only for your own sake, but also for the sake of your each and every loved one as well. Make your death and dying an example of how to die, full of grace and without any fear of lamentation. Witnessing such an auspicious death and dying by you will also greatly relieve their grief and anxiety about the well-being of your soul and its destiny after your death. Therefore, make of your death and dying a parting gift to them, and a revelation that death and dying is not something to be fearful of, but rather it is simply a gateway which opens into a life that is more abundant and free of all sorrow and human suffering. The 6th stanza. O beloved one, what is called dying has happened to you. Recognize that everything and everyone and everywhere that you have spent your lifetime seeking to find real and lasting happiness was never the true sources and location of the ultimate and permanent happiness you were seeking. It was just a projection of your own mind. Just as a mirage of water in the desert is not real water, in the same way, people, things, and places only appear to have been the source of happiness, but were not. O beloved one, you must now recognize your past ignorance, and no longer waste what there is left of your precious human lifetime chasing for something in the world that does not exist in anyone or anything or anywhere, and thus be free of all worldly distractions and any sense of loss and desperation, or depression. The 7th stanza. O beloved one, what is called dying has happened to you. Having carefully listened to what has been said, and thus be liberated from your lifelong ignorance and bondage to your mental illusions, and the fruitless pursuit of that which is less than real happiness and peace. O beloved one, you must now truly understand and recognize that this bardo of dying will be, and is right now, your last and greatest opportunity to use the remainder of your precious human lifetime for its true and highest purpose. Therefore, O beloved one, give up all fear of the loss of thy loved ones, thy possessions, and clinging to thy fleshy body. And instead, devote the rest of your precious lifetime to that which is greater. And on the basis of such profound understanding, each day deeply reflect on what you have heard, and thus be at peace and free of all sorrow and suffering at the very moment of the great liberation that is called death. So has it been said, so let it be done. Venerable Bhagwan Rinpoche.
Well, of course, there are many different kinds of poor available. I mean, you're free to write your own. I just wanted to give you some time of structure and content of what it is you want to be instructing your beloved to do. Many of those pouvoirs that are used during these turning point bardo of old age, bardo of dying, bardo of death, are specifically structured to prepare them for what is actually going to be their experience. So, but certainly you can tenderize it and personalize it and do what you will. At least you got something to work with. Maybe you can go home and practice. Y'all take turns laying down so that the tone right. You see, practice it. You see, so that you won't be looking for a copy of this while they're laying there dying to death. You see, copy. You know what I mean? So let's have any kind of discussion you want with that piece, and then we'll return to our workbook. But this is part of our task to one another, especially if we are in love with one another. You see, that we are required by the force of our vows that we took as we stood before the justice of peace, you see, to take care of each other's soul. And you have to be capable of doing that. Are you with me? That's why you see you have to go get a job, set around so you can buy your house and so forth. We have to provide in these relationships. And certainly one of the things that thank you, beloved. One of the things that is definitely necessary to provide is instructions in these crucial times. Are you with me? And it may not even be your spouse, because our relationships consist of more than just our spouse. It may be your daughter, your son, your sibling. And you say you love your son, your daughter, your sibling. You gotta have some cool. Are you with me? Standing there crying and lamenting, blowing snot out of you, and feeling sorry for yourself, grieving yourself. That's not going to help you. Having bought them an insurance policy, that's for you. It ain't for them. They can't use the insurance. So, are you feeling it?
Yes, sir.
And that's when they're going to need you the most. That's when they're going to need you the most. It's when they're dying. It's when they're dying. So we want to keep that in mind. You see, we want to kind of stay with it. Yes, beloved.
So, what kind of help can you be to someone who has no exposure to the Dharma and is not interested in this stuff? How can you, what kind of instruction can you write for them?
It's very different. It's
Yeah.
very different. That's why I said, hopefully if we have a person that's going to volunteer to be our designated person, you know what I mean? That means that maybe with our patience and our tolerance, you know what I mean? We can help them embrace reality, you see? Because nobody wants to suffer. That's just, you know what I mean? And we share our knowledge with them, you see? We help prepare them to help us, you see? In return, we help them. It's what it's for, because we love them.
He's not my designated person.
You don't have a designated person?
He's not it.
Who's he?
My son, I'm talking about.
Well, Angela, start up, girl. The hell with Noah. Right? But nevertheless, even when Noah died. And so you have to, even these, this process, it has to be adapted even for people that are not on the path. because they're gonna die too. That's the reality. We have relationships with people who are not on the path, who are not meditators. And yet, we must still, on the basis of our own grasp of the mechanics, the physics of what we're trying to do, adapt it. You see, they may be a Christian, okay? Then Christianize the whole thing. You follow what I'm saying? They are Buddhists, okay? We Buddhatize it. They're a Jew, okay? We Jew it up. You follow me? You have to be creative. They can even be an atheist and be young. Are you with me? It's just whether we are not stuck in our own space and insisting, you know what I mean, that they subscribe to the same spirituality or religion that we do. See, it can't get limited like that. You just got to have pure knowledge and have such mastery of it that you can adapt it to any person, even an atheist, because that's the reality. Right? And that's why we have to be prepared. Are you with me? You see? Our preparation has to be large, universal, Catholic, transcendental, not locked into any vanity. Are you with me? No elitism. As if our way is the only way. It's not so. Are you with me? We must serve. So it causes us, dumb-minded, to elevate our game. You know what I mean? And do what we are purpose to do in these relationships. That's why I said with the open statement, you have to understand, these children, these are gifts given to us. You know what I mean? And it was given to us with the express intention and instruction by the gift giver. You love and you serve this person. You see? If you follow that, it will give you joy. Because that's part of the secret of happiness, is loving and serving others. Those who are seeking to be loved and served by others, these are people who are never going to be happy at all. Follow me? Because they're violating the law of love. You're giving a gift. Follow what I'm saying? And it's so tender, you know what I mean? It's like somebody give you $1,000 to go make Christmas with your children. Ain't that good? Right? He didn't give you the money to go shopping for yourself. He gave you that money to go buy them children something. But he's giving you this body, this breath, your intellect, your brain, every faculty in you to serve. Not to use this just for your own self-aggrandizement and self-indulgence and self-gratification and self-glorification. That's a completely wrong use of the body mind. Everything is a gift. Your next breath is a gift to be used in the service of love and saving. That's down with something down. This is the good thing. So we got to up our game. You see? Just got to up our game. But that's a good challenge, you see. And of course, Dhamma you are Dhamma. I've given you enough Dhamma to serve the world, so no just a piece of cake. At least he listened to Angela, because she's big, right? She's big, it's a sister that fought with him. You know, you can still fight with Noah, right? She'll do Noah for you. All right. Back to the handout, number 5. And now we're talking about after we have served them through that dying process, right? Now, death of the body, the gross physical body. Now we got to help dispose of that dead body. Because by the time you're going to have to take her out of the house, man. You ain't going to be able to keep her there forever, right? You got to dispose of it, right? She said she going to bury me in the yard. She's going to break the law, right? And these are the kind of conversation, hopefully, that you will go from here and have lunch, because I've asked you, whoever you brought here to serve you, take them to lunch, sit down with them. Now's the time to share with one another what your desires are. And my task is to fulfill them, you know. You see? How you gonna go? Because the body's gonna have to be disposed of, and there's a couple of ways, basically. And each has its own advantage, but you have to decide through that. Disposing of the body. So one is burial, obviously. Some cultures, some people want to be buried. You see my point? And that has to be factored into your service of them. Are you with me? They want to be buried. Some want to be cremated. Different cultures have different practice. Every culture have a kind of sanction of the practice of disposing of the body, right? A lot of the Western religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, etc., right? It's burial. So that we can maintain the relationship, right? You see, that our relationship with that deceased loved one transcends the death of the body. So we lay that body somewhere, and the presumption is hopefully that the soul is there too, watching its own body, still moving around in some kind of way. And we go visit that body in this grave, right? Because it's the same relationship. You know what I mean? I'm gonna come see you on your birthday. You know what I mean? And from a certain point of view, it may look silly and ridiculous, but it has a quality of beauty to it. Are you with me? You see? We do it even for the ancestors. Are you with me? It's a way of being connected, you know, and so forth and so on. Because these relationships with the other can transcend time and space. Are you with me? Depends on the depth, right? But the relationship goes on. You follow me? And so burial is sometimes the preferred means of disposing of the body, so that you can have a sacred place. A cemetery originally was a sacred place. Are you with me? Where you could go, right, and still be with your beloved, not in the body, you know what I mean, but in spirit, so to speak, right? Relating in spirit, like we worship God in spirit. There's relationship in spirit. In spirit, though. They're not sitting there talking to a dead body. No, the body's dead. You know what I mean? It's spirit. You see? It's like that. So that's a possibility, and some people will want that. You see? Fine. Accommodate. See my point? Don't get hung up on how you want to go. You see my point? It ain't about you. Are you with me? Let people go to bliss the way they want to go to bliss. You see? Mind your own business. You see? And handle their business. And if they say they want to be buried, and do it with great love, great tenderness. You see? Great sincerity. Some may want to be cremated. That's another option. Different cultures practice different ways of disposing the body. It has its advantage too, in the sense that it's an advantage to the beloved. Because when the body is burned, you see, there's nobody to cling to no more. That whole impulse to cling disappears because there is no more body, you see. And they cremate the body quickly. Are you with me? Quickly. And so cremation has its advantage as well, you see. Otherwise, you know, you could imagine if a person is, a lot of people are attached to their body and is laying there in the graveyard, you know what I mean? They're going to still be trying to get back in it for 49 days, maybe. You see? They can't let it go. Well, if there's no form of that body that still exists, there's nothing you can do. There's no form of it. You see? So that which is form returns to formlessness. Because the reality is that we are formless beings. And that's part of the ignorance that has to be overcome. This is the form. That's what that which is in it has no. Consciousness has no form. So in cremation, the understanding is the form returned to formlessness. You see, or in Christianity and other traditions, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, elements back to the elements, et cetera, et cetera. So it depends on each individual, but you need to find that out about, especially your significant other in the form of a life partner, a husband, or wife, because that's a unique relationship. You know what I mean? That's Baba, that's love, but that's Madhurya Baba. That's different. You see my point? That's a very different thing. You see. And it's governed by Baba, you see, so you need to find out how your beloved wish to have their body disposed. Are you with me? So if they're watching you, because, you know, we got to get them in the ground in the next 3 to 5 days, right? Quickly. And if they may still be moving around. They have not yet fully separated out of it. And from where they're at, they say, oh my God, this fool done put my damn body in. You know what I mean? Told us good to burn me up. You know what I mean? Now you just create more problems. Are you with me? So bury the person, dispose of the body according to their preference. Make sense?
Yep.
But you have to decide that. You see?
Oh.
You have to decide that. Is that a gunshot? See, I told you, April, you don't know. We have no idea. If somebody got their box on music?
No, it's the mic. It's the mic.
It's the mic? Okay.
Master,
Yes, what up?
if it's a cremation that a person prefers, do they still wait like 3.5 days before
Yeah,
they're
if you
cremated?
can, you know, really rock about that. If you can get that 3 days, that's best. But sometimes you can't get it, right? So you have to do your forward there, right? But the disposing of the body, you know what I mean, is a separate thing, right? Whether I had the person for 3 days to do my forward instruction, or whether I had them for only 3.5 hours or so, that's one thing. But how they wish to be buried, that's a whole other thing. And that can happen. Some cases, people, it takes 2 weeks, you know what I mean? They may want to ship their body back home and stuff like that. And so it may be more than 3 or 4 days before the body is disposed of. Are you with me? So, but you do have to decide, and you also have to inform the other person how they want their bodies to be disposed. You follow me? With no argument. You follow what I'm saying? And so that's part of what you'll have to do sooner or later. We're doing all right on time. Then you have to decide about whether or not you want a vigil. Because sometimes, you know, that's necessary. Because those people who are grieving and so forth, they want to have a chance. You know what I mean? To say their goodbyes and so forth and so on. So, you know, you can have a vigil. You see? Where they're given that opportunity. If there's cremation, there's nobody there doing that, you see. So that's good in some sense, you know. But it certainly gives everybody a chance, you see. And that vigil can be for like 3 days. It could be, depends on what your situation is in, you see.
Is that after the body
After
has
the-
been prepared?
Well, it depends. Sometimes, though, 3 days, if the body can be maintained,
Okay.
it can take place then. You see, of course, you have to control that environment. Are you with me? Right? But it gives them a chance. You know what I mean? You see. But again, for those 3 days or so, you know, you still want to be mindful, especially for those who are meditators in here on the path. See, our loved ones who will have that task of handling us and our lives, right? They're going to have to treat us as if we are in Samadhi, literally. Handle our body like we're meditating. You see, because some of us will be lucky enough to be able to do that. And we'll have practiced during our lifetime to such a degree right? That at the time of our death and dying, you see, we're able to go into samadhi. And you should not disturb it, our samadhi. Are you with me? So make sure that if it's a 3-day vigil and you're laying there in samadhi, right? Okay, so right, you really got to make sure that ain't no TV blasting and all that, no, all that's quiet. You know what I mean? Shh. She's in samadhi. Very respectful, very humble. That's how you handle a spiritual practitioner. And in some sense, you know, we can quid pro quo, right? Because even though they may not have been a meditator, but they may have had a strong belief in Allah or Muhammad or Jesus. Okay, they were Jesus. They're with their beloved. They're with the gift giver. That whole idea has to be hyper respectful, full of respect. And then usually burial will come if there's a body. You know what I mean? If there's not a body, then you know we don't have that problem. But still, you should have a chance to really let other people, you know what I mean, have what they need to have, and so forth and so on. Beyond the visual, I mean, you can determine what kind of service. Do you want to have a memorial? Do you want to have a funeral? Well, if you have the body, you really don't have a funeral, right? There are some advantages and disadvantages. Very often at a funeral, the focus is on the dead body. You know what I mean? Not the life lived by that person made, right? Whereas at a memorial, the focus is on the person's life and not the dead body, because there is no dead body in the room, right? You see? So it depends what you all decide as a group, as a couple. You see? What you want to emphasize is how good they fixed you up, or how good you have lived your life. You decide. You know what I mean? Because the difference is exactly that between the two. You know what I mean? Because the remarks are limited to what, 3 minutes, something like that. You got 100 people there. You know what I mean? Everybody can't make a remark. It's not enough time. They want to see the body. What kind of job? You know how y'all are, right? Memorial is different. Focus on that. Yes, beloved.
What about I've heard sitting a plate, if you're preparing food, sit a plate on a table. Is that some kind
Is
of?
that a plate on the table?
For the ancestors.
Ancestors, developing your relationship with your ancestors, that's a little different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's an ancestor lived 1,000 years ago. Y'all didn't get married. You know what I mean? So it has its place, but a different kind of intimacy there. You see? Yes, beloved.
Now, I don't know if exactly what she was, but I know that, you know, just in terms of grief therapy, working with families, like to go on holidays and things like that. Sometimes people mark, you know, birthdays and with things like what she was talking about, you know, setting a plate at the stove. You know, even, you know, after 3 days.
The relationship.
Yeah, after 3 days,
That can help sometimes. It depends on situation, you see. But at some point, you see, even for the person that is left over, you see, one of the things that happens after the loss of a loved one is that this person now got to adjust. Right. You see? And you don't want to interfere or delay that adjustment. They got to create different relationships now. But that relationship is gone physically. Right? So you need to now reconstruct something. You know, even your environment. You see, you need to get in the bed even though the husband ain't there. You see my point, you go to sleep. You got to recover from the loss. You got to get functional. And if you don't do that, what you fall into is prolonged grief disorder, right? And so you have to kind of watch for that, because people are attached to one another. Right. So even when that person, that cherished loved one is gone, you got all that stuff. You can't let it go. You try, you understand? You can't throw away nothing. You can't give away nothing.
Absolutely.
You're clean. You're clean.
Yeah. And so sometimes that's that you're,
Yeah.
you know, you have to help people identify
Yeah.
who or what can
Yeah.
take the place of that person and what that person represented in your life. Even though their body is gone, whatever role they played in your life.
That's true.
Like you just said, to identify that and help expedite the grief process.
That is very true, you see. And that is really how you serve ordinary people without knowledge. You see, my point, my presumption is that you were adopted, we were adopted. We should be able to bequeath to our loved ones something more than ordinary knowledge. Yes, sir. And if they understand this, then they ain't gonna go through that process in the first place, right? Because that's a process grounded in ignorance, in attachment, and so forth and so on. It's like that, right? I'm not diminishing it, you follow what I'm saying? But the Dharma is our advantage, right? So when we sit down with our family, and those who will most likely be tasked with the chore of heralding us in our dying death, we can educate and remove such ignorance. And to help them let go of it, you see? To give one another permission to move on. Isn't that a great gift? Great gift. To give each other the gift of freedom to live on. Don't stop living, because this is going. Love. Find someone to love. Father, you have my permission. Don't feel guilty about that. Don't feel that you betrayed me. You follow what I'm saying? Give my shit away. Don't feel that in some sense, you follow me, that it's going to anger you. You freedom of that. That's part of our task in dying. That's why we are emphasizing, if you're not prepared, how would you prepare anybody? Even for your own law, you won't be able to go there. Follow what I'm saying? And that would show up and trigger in them some kind of prolonged grief, suffering. So you bring suffering forward. And we want to transcend that, right? Why? Because we love you. I didn't want you to suffer while I'm here. I don't want you to suffer when this is not. True? Yeah. It's like that. So we have to look and see how we want to do it, you know. So both of these ways of disposing of the body, how you dispose of the body probably will determine what kind of vision you will have, what kind of memorial you will have, whether you will have a funeral and so forth and so on. So those two are sort of interlinked. And they have different goals with that. So now that's just a brief overview, right, of this care for the soul that is changed through dying and death, right? And so now we even have a little time so that now we can have Q&As and so forth and input and sharing with one another and refine what we have said here today. We have one last thing here that I need to pass out, and that's on the Bhagwan of death. We covered dying, right? So there's some kinds of instruction for those of our loved ones who have entered into this body of death, right? And we are required to continue to serve them. So a handout is coming around to you. And again, these are who was, right? Because just because your body is clinically and biologically dead, I know that which was you was never the body. And it is indestructible. It's never died. You see? And it's still close enough here to hear you. So I'm going to pull it. So that you understand what's going to happen, right? Because there's a structure here. Even if you look at your near-death experiences, there's a certain structure. Everybody reports pretty much the same thing, right? They go through a tunnel at the end of which there's a light. Are you with me? They are flooded with a feeling of a sense of peace and will, right? They hear a particular sound. So all of them are describing the same thing, and they describe it across all time. Long before there was a term called near-death experience in the people who reported these experiences. Because that's structural. Are you with me? They'll see a being, a radiant being. And depending on their cultural disposition and religious disposition, that radiant being would appear to them as Jesus, or it would appear to them as Buddha, or it would appear to them as that, or their guru or something. But it's radiant light. You see, modified by your belief system. Everybody reports it. See, meeting loved ones. Meeting in that life you meeting loved ones. But that's what it's like. You actually go back to the episode where you met this person and had some interaction with them, and you have that experience of how you make them feel and so forth. So this is structural. Everybody experiences. You follow me? And in the same way, if you move deeper into the death process, beyond those few days, you know what I mean? Then there's other experiences that you're going to have. You need to know what's going to happen so that you can react rightly to it, right? And so this set of puas is for afterwards. And that hopefully in that 3.5 hours. But we don't know how long you got. You know what I mean? Go for it. So the puas for dying is before they die in the body. Then the second set of pua instructions is so after the body is dead. You know, for those first few hours called Roger Veer is coming. You got to get paid. You see? Right? And so pua, give those instructions. So, so how did you come on again and read?
Using the poor instructions to help our dead loved ones. Note, continuously read these instructions slowly and with frequent pauses during the active process of the soul leaving the gross body. And also for at least a few hours, 3, after clinical death has occurred, and if possible, before the body is touched or disturbed in any way. If the dying person knows you are going to do this practice for them and knows what it is, it can be a great source of inspiration and comfort. Imagine rays of divine light pouring down unto the dead person, purifying his or her whole being. And then he or she dissolves into light and merges into the spiritual presence of the divine itself, like a drop into the ocean. Begin this practice when the person is breathing their last breath, or as soon as possible after their breathing stops. Sit quietly on the right side of the dead person, and then begin reading the instruction, pua, softly but clearly to them into their right ear. Venerable Bhagwan for Afrika. First stanza. O noble and beloved one, what is called death has happened to you. Now, please listen very carefully to that which you must hear, understand, and follow, for the sake of liberation from all fear, sorrow, and suffering on the afterlife journey you are now bound, and thus be happy and filled full of peace. The second stanza. O noble and beloved one, what is called death has happened to you. Even so, do not be afraid. Everyone and everything will also one day die. Soon you will feel a very strong but soothing force pulling you upwards towards the top of your head. Relax and fix your attention deeply on it and let yourself flow with it. And thus, O noble and beloved one, be free of all sorrow and human suffering, and at last be happy and feel full of peace. The third stanza. O noble and beloved one, what is called death has happened to you. And now, O beloved one, you will next hear a loud, upward moving sound with an intense vibration that will pull you higher and beyond the top of your head. Fix your attention on it and let yourself be moved by it and drawn further upwards by its melodious strains. and thereby attain freedom from all fear, sorrow, and the suffering of mere mortal and transient human existence, and thus be happy and feel full of peace. Fourth stanza. O noble and beloved one, what is called death has happened to you. Now, listen very carefully. There is also a mass of pure and profound bliss further above, which you will next feel showering down upon you like a heavy rain. Let yourself be attracted to and be drawn further upwards by the magnetic force of that bliss. And thus, O noble and beloved one, be happy and feel full of peace. The fifth stanza. O noble and beloved one, what is called death has happened to you. Now, pay close attention to what remains to be said. He did well, as failure at the next stage of your journey in the afterlife will result in your rebirth back into the world, where you will once again undergo sorrow and every kind of suffering that bodily and mortal existence imposes on the soul. Soon you will enter into a dark and narrow passage. Do not be afraid. Eventually, you will see an incredibly bright and attractive white light at the end of the passageway. Fix and hold your full attention on the center of that light, and thus be drawn straight like an arrow into it, and be dissolved into a sea of infinite light and sound and bliss. And at last, you will attain the great liberation and freedom from all birth and death, and be happy and feel full of peace forever. So it has been said, so let it be done.
Thank you. So again, this is just a kind of a piece to give you a sense of the kind of instruction you want to be available to give your beloved. You see, in your sweetest tone. I mean, lacing your recitation and instruction with this much love in your language and your voice. Now, this may seem simple because we're talking theoretically about it, you see. But when the loved one is named, it's going to take everything to not fall apart. So practice it. It's tender. It's baby talk. Your loved ones. It's the last pillow talk you want to have. I mean, get into the right tender, sweet, like Father. It's cool. So you, of course, have the skills and the creativity to come with your own kinds of versions of that. But there are very specific experiences that everyone is going to have as they move through the process. You follow me? So much about us is all absolutely the same. The difference in the peripheral of our being is just that, it's peripheral. As we move deeper and deeper into the core of ourselves, it's all the same. You know? It's all one, the same. Are you with me? The body operates the same. Your heart beats and moves your blood and oxidizes it just like everybody else. There's nothing unique about it. You see? And the universe knows that. You don't know it, right? But the universe is going to born you just like it borns everybody else. You're born in your birth, but not some unique phenomenon. Born just like anything else that is born. Live like anything else is lived. You see, you got to breathe in, you got to breathe out, blah, blah, blah. You got to eat, you got to drink liquid, you got to have clothes, you got to have shelter. Where is this unique thing coming to from? Either. You with me? True? True. You're born just like everybody else. You're lived. You're not even doing the living. You're being lived. You can't take credit for doing the living. What living you doing? You're being lived by that same force that born you, and it will die you as well. So you got to get into some humility to even become prepared for servicing one another like this. You got to get humble. You follow me? You got to get straight. gotta get clear. Nothing special about you. And now it helps you to better serve others. And with it, make sense?
Yeah.
And there's certain structural experience. I already said that, and I didn't just say it, it's mystics have been saying this since time immemorial. It's that while living, you make the quality of your mind. When the body drops, that mind will determine the quality of your experience as you move further in the birth process with it. So if your quality of mind that you have made is totally incapable of paying attention, cannot concentrate, full of arrogance, full of vanity, full of ignorance. You follow what I'm saying? Full of ill will, no compassion, no kindness. You see? No mercy, right? But that mind is still full of this this craving to stay in the body forever, right? You're doing everything to stay in the body. You're taking every kind of medicine that come on the market. You run into any country you can. You're trying to live this thing forever. You understand? You're wearing masks scared of bacteria like you ain't even got no immune system. Inventing shit that's wrong with the body, that ain't even wrong with the body. You follow what I'm saying? That's the kind of mindset you got. And this body go, and it's going to go. You're already full of regret on this side. Immediately after, what happens at some point, in spite of the mess that we have made with our mind, you see, there is a point where you will get a reflection of this true self. You see, that is that light. Are you with me? There's a cosmic mandala. I'm not going to have time. Right, actually, you all going to have to really serve these people, right? Because there's different spectrums of life. We call that a cosmic mandala. You see, just like we can see within this kind of life, there's other kind of life. You see, ultra red and so forth and so forth. You can see more. See, even in this room, if we had a certain kind of light and we wave it on this shit, we'll see full of insects and bugs and none of you women want to sit there. You can wipe away, but you can't wipe it away. But you'll see it. Are you with me? It's like that. So you'll get a reflection of your own self, but you got to pay attention. You see? See, if you can't pay attention to that peace, if you can't stay with that, then you're going to go back, your attention's going to go right back to the life you just loved. You know what I mean? Or you can't pay attention to the present. You see? What's happening now is this feeling of bliss is descending upon you. It feels good because you have finally become free from the limitation of the gross physical body. And you feel that. And that feels good. All of the limitations that is imposed upon consciousness as a result of being in body are removed when this body drops. What in Shaivism we call the 5 kankukas, remember? You see? The limitation on where you can be at any point in time and space, right? But this body can only be at a certain point at a certain time. Without the body, you can move ubiquitously. You recover your omnipresence, and it feels good. And stay with that. Pay attention to that. Stay right there. If you can't pay attention, though, right? If you're still easily distracted, you're going to go back. And you'll miss the great revelation of the nature of your true self and so forth. So these coverings, these kankukas, these limitations will successively fall away as you move further and further, right? You see, but all of them will fall away initially. You can't see it, and they descend. Right? So you're moving through that process, right? With that same mind. You see, I'm hungry. It'll come down to your ragas and your devesas. You see my point? Your vasanas, your tendencies, you know? And because that's the core of who you think you are right now. You're just a bundle of likes and dislikes. That's all you are. Basically, what you call your individuality is just a bundle of that stuff, right? Now, when the body drops out, that becomes what's moving through that thing, right? So forth and so on. Again, the metaphysics is very profound, so I'm not going to try to go through it, but I want to give you a sense that as you move and you don't miss every other opportunity you had to become self and God realized, you come down, you get back to the same set of rockets and the best of the rockets, and you're hungry. You're tired. You need a body. Yeah, see, because you cannot fulfill any of those desires without a body. See, and you so hungry, I'm gonna take any kind of, I'm gonna get anybody, first body come along, give me a body. And you're gonna run in, and you're gonna be a squirrel or something. You won't get this precious human body. This thing is precious. This human lifetime is precious, rare. Even the gods want to have one of these machines. You see? Power. Right? But you have got to have lived this life rightly to earn this again. I mean, you had to travel from the Amiga all the way up to the United States. So you got to really have a right understanding of this, you see. So ultimately, the quality of mind you have now, that's going to determine your success as you move further and further into those processes that immediately follow the dying and death of this gross physical covering, right? Your soul travel, right? Where you will end up. You. It's on you. You really that simple? Right? Or not so simple. Now, with that said, our last piece, this is special. This is for my old people. We have the Bhagwan of old age.
Oh, yeah.
Pass those out real quickly to anybody that didn't get one. Most of you got the Bhagwan.
Yeah.
But I see a couple of old folks in here that might not have gotten it. And you could just read that later, but what I wanted to read is a I think I'll let Dorothy G read this here. You're doing such a good job. And then you can read the Bhagwan of old age. Because in old age, now I'm going to say a few more things. In old age, you see, it's as if the universe begin to disappear our delusions, begin to dissolve our ignorance, right? You become less and less capable of lying to yourself as you get older about this reality called death. See, when you're young, you can lie to yourself about it because you figure you have evidence. You know, I'm up this hill, I can run, 40-yard dash, blah, blah, blah. You're easier to remain trapped in your illusion of your imaginary immortality. Are you with me? You can stay trapped in that kind of level of illusion, right? But by grace, the universe is moving you down this process, right? You're just moving unconsciously down this process out of your profound ignorance. Because what is ignorance? Ignorance is simply the act of ignoring reality. That's ignorance. Hence the teachers of mysticism and these kind of things are called, these teachers, the reality teaching. These are teaching on reality. Are you with me? This ain't no hocus pocus, pie in the sky shit. You know what I mean? This is reality. And these are the teachings on reality. And if you ignore reality, you will be ignorant and you will live your life ignorantly. And one of the most gross forms of ignorantly living your life. It's the presumption that this thing is not gonna die. This gonna die, right? And everything that you attach to that looks like this, that's also gonna die, right? It ain't yours. You don't own it. You ain't made this. You didn't make that you claiming ownership of. You didn't make this body, my body. What are you talking about, your body? You didn't make this. This is a gift. Are you with me? And out of your profound ignorance, you acting like you done made all of this. Vanity. Vanity, pure vanity. Based on profound ignorance. Well, the universe, because the universe being the source of this mercy and grace is so kind-hearted, said, well, let me get them straight. So the universe used old age as a means of therapy. Old age is cosmic therapy that is built into the process. Because these modern therapists don't know what the hell they're doing. They're a victim of the same ignorance. Are you with me? So they are very little used to it. You see? But old age, you see, is the cosmic therapist. And they make you understand something. You see? That you can't deny. These teeth are gone. You ain't got no real teeth. You know what I'm saying? You tired. You sick. You gotta take 12 medicines. Your blood pressure is high. You can't run nowhere. You don't even walk fast. You get up slow, sit down slow. You got you one of them little boosts on the toilet. Can't be in one ear. True? They're already, you old. And next, you're gonna die. Get straight, get real, get ready, get prepared. Are you with me? Well, I done found somebody that's gonna die for me. No such person exists. Yes, there are people who have died trying to teach you reality. That's a different matter. That's a correct statement. Many of these great men and women that come here devoted their whole life to the point of being persecuted and killed, trying to get your ass ready to deal with reality. Are you with me? They didn't die for your place. They died trying to help you get straight. And you were one of the people that killed you. Follow me? If a Buddha came today, if a Jesus came today, you'd be the first one to go strong. Because they're going to check you up. And you don't want to be checked up. You want to live in your fantasy. You want to live in your delusion. You see, you want other people to do your work, which means you're incredibly lazy. You see my point? You don't even want to do your own spiritual work. You want to have all of this stuff, but you don't want to put in no work. Minimum spiritual work for maximum spiritual outcome. This is a fool. And they got places off, they got some across the street for these people. The mystics don't deal with it. They say you got to get strict. And you're going to have to deal with reality. Whether you like it or not, because you're old, you're going to get old, you're going to get sick, you're going to get feeble-minded. Your intellect ain't going to get sharper. Your intellect going to get dimmer. So now you're trying to read Yoga Vasista. You can't even remember what you read.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. How you going to read Yoga Vasista? How you going to read all these sutras, all these shots? You can't understand this shit no more. You ain't that brilliant 25-year-old person. You got some dementia going on. Are you with me?
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen. Too late. Your brain cells are dissolving. You see? Your blood is dropping off less and less oxygen into the brain. That's why certain parts of the brain ain't working. You see how you can't see that clear, right? What makes you think you can think that clear? you'll lose it. Right? See, in ancient culture, you know, there were stages for all of this. You know, we talked about the stages of life in Bardo, so there's the stages of the Bardo of life. People have understood this for centuries, right? And there is and life was divided into 100 years, right? Each stage composed of 25 years, right? And the first one was Brahmacharya, the student, right? You're a student, you're 25, learn. Brain is sharp, learn. This is when you learn. Not playing no damn Xbox all night. You're a student, you learn, you absorb. Brahmacharya, that means you go to a teacher about Brahma, about God, and you learn. You're a student, you get the feet. That's when you find these young men in the monasteries, in the ashrams. You with me? Get the feet. Then your mind is young and you ain't got nothing but time. Because you're young, you're in the first stage. You know what I mean? You're still at home with your parents taking care of you. You got all day, all the time in the world. Now you can study the Bhagwan Gita. Now this is the time to study the Yoga Sutras. This is the time, you see my point? To study these saints and say, because you ain't got nothing but time. You ain't gonna have this kind of time no more. Right? True? And neurologically and biologically, you're designed for that. You can read all night. Y'all, some of y'all almost fell asleep reading this stuff. It's a water. I understand. You see, you can't read for 10 hours straight no more.
Yeah.
Follow me? You get tired, your eyes start. You need some more medicine.
Put some more drops in
my
there.
wife said. Element is dissolving. Right. That was you're supposed to have used these faculties at their highest peaks. You're out of Mahara. You're not in harmony with the flow of how life is going. You see? So you have that first stage where you are a student. You see, Brahmacharya. You know, learned about the world, learned about all kinds of things, learned about culture, learned about human nature, you have studied psychology, biology, sciences, you understand the world, you understand others, and you have some understanding about yourself. You are prepared now for the next stage of life, you see? So after the age of 25, from 25 to 50 or so, you see, you go into the, what they call the household, right? The grihastha household, you see? Because now you have the knowledge. You know how to do relationship. You know how to husband a woman. You know how to wife a man. You don't pick up that knowledge. Contrasted us, we get married, I's married now, but you don't even know what to do. You don't have a clue. You have no skills at being a husband, no skills at being a wife. No wonder 85% of these relationships fail, right? You see? Even when you done read all the books, but you still ain't got no skill. Okay, let's go see how you can do relationships. Shit, let's see how much Yoga Vasishtha you know, man. Let's see how deep you are in the Bhagavad Gita. Can you love somebody? Can you do relationships? Can you get along with somebody? Do we have the capacity to be harmonious? Your marriage reflects your total inability and lack of development. You had no knowledge. You pissed away your brahmacharya stage of life. You follow what I'm saying? Smoking weed, stepping in the club, you know what I mean? Stealing cars. Well, we're prepared for it, right? But there is a legitimate preparation for that stage, grihastha, where you learn all of that. You're going to have kids. You learn how to be a mother. You learn how to be a father. Because sometimes we don't even know that. We say things to these kids, break these kids' heart. We see it in therapy all the time, right? Your mama done said something to you when you were 10 or 11 years old or 6 or 7, done tore you up. Broke your heart. And this fool don't even know it.
Right.
There's something wrong with her. There's something wrong with him. I don't know. No, you did the wrong. With your mouth. With your gestures. with your deed and broke the kid's damn heart. And you're too arrogant to even see that. Are you with me? You don't know nothing about that. True? True. That's what all of us have.
Yes.
True. So I'm not just singling anybody else out. You see? We don't know how to be mother. We don't know how to be father. We don't even know how to be husband. We don't know how to be wife. And we're messing up people everywhere we go, right? You're going to see all of this in your life review. You don't have to believe none of what I'm telling you. But when that life review comes before you, you will see how you said something to one of them kids, tell that kid up, because you're going to feel it. You're going to feel the heartbreak of your own son and daughter. You're going to feel that shit. While you sitting back saying, I was a good man. They fault. Something wrong with them. Arrogant, vain, mean, just mean. And you telling everybody how nice you are. No, you ain't nice, you mean. You just don't know, you're ignorant. You ain't did no self-investigation. Are you with me? I go on and on, but I better stop now. But then there's the third stage in this Bhagwan of life that we move from psychologically, psychosocially as a human being, right? And this is one of our stops. This is when our children have children, when we become grandparents, right? That's another 25 years, right? That'll take us another 25 years, right? But we got that skill set. Are you with me? If it's done right, if we had to run harder and the rest of it, right? So when our children have children, in those ancient times, that's when, okay, it's time for me to retire, son, this is your business, this is your problem, I'm gonna handle that. I'm your concierge. Are you with me? You come holler at me, you have some problem, you need a little money, blah, blah, blah. So that's your son, there's your heritage. Go with that. I'm your right. Whole relationship is reconstructed. Are you with me? You still trying to whoop your kids, they 35. What's up? Who asked you gonna whoop who's 35? You might get your own ass. Whoop nobody. Are you with me? And you can not only become an advisor, and now you can also use another part of your heart and love on your grandkids. I had to hold that in on my son and daughter, because, you know, I got to put my foot in your ass, whatever it is, right? It's a different responsibility. But with your son, I ain't got to worry about being like, you know what I'm saying? All that unused love. Right? Hold the love, right? And know how to take care of him. Some have you, I got that boy. You understand? I can do your job for your son, for your daughter. In case something happens, I get that shit done. I know how to do that. Are you with me? You understand what I'm saying? Whole other level of skill, wisdom, right? And then there is this fourth stage. See, what in ancient time were called old age, the 75 to 100. Of course, we'll have to make adjustments in our time because we die early, right? So what we say, maybe 65 to 90. That's the new old age, right? That period is called sannyas. Sannyas, done now. Now you're done. I raised the family, I started the business, I bought the house, I paid the mortgage, I paid the bills, I did this, I did that, I fulfilled all those worldly duties and responsibilities. Done. You see my point? Business with the world is over. Right? And now it's time for me to take care of my soul. And if I do that, I'm going to leave some of the burden off for you. Right? You don't have to pull me. You follow what I'm saying? You understand? I done pulled with myself. I done got that in this hand. It's beautiful. Right? You ain't got to be scared. I'm cool. I'm all right. You follow what I'm saying? Are you with me?
Yeah.
It's like that. Sannyas. Serious sannyas. Pardon me? not play meditation. You see, if you're an old age, you're still confused, you just done messed up somewhere along the line. That's all. You still didn't figure shit out. You're 65, you're almost in the grade, and you're still trying to figure shit out. You see what I'm saying? You're some young, you're manana, it's about the superficial. That's why you're still confused. You didn't go ahead. Are you with me? You were deluded. You thought you didn't have to saravana and manana and meditate. I'm looking for a way around meditation. Around saravana, manana. It's around self-inquiry on the real side. You wind up with nothing, you can't do something else. So you just become an old fool. Basically. And now, Baradaji, you will describe the old fool.
Yes, I will. This old body has begun to tremble. My ears are deaf, my eyes are gone, my legs are done. I feel so sad. I can't get up by myself, can't go out. People run from me, seeing this vomit and bile, smelling the flow from all 9 outlets of this aging body. Too much to bear. They themselves feel sick. All this trickling of urine and bowels I can't control. I feel such great sadness. I can't control my hunger, but food won't digest and vomit is all I get. My teeth are gone, so the tongue falters and mouth mumbles. I can't even speak. Can't speak of the misery of my last days. And everyone asks, why won't he die?
Sounds familiar?
Yeah, it does. Other than Ram, no one will free me from pain. He takes care of devotees in times of desolation. My Lord is the loving friend of devotees. Sarmath Ramdas.
So, and you can see that played out at different levels of degrees. Just look around. Old people. See? Old people on the west side, that's a free lunch. You know, we rob them. Society don't need you no more. You're kicked to the curb. True? You're vulnerable. Right? You are hunted. Not just by gangsters on the street in terms of robbery and so forth. You hunted by businesses. They love to see you come to the You'll see now. It's going to be easy to charge you 3 times the cost of the thing. Are you with me? And we put you in a nursing home. That's just like not even having to work today. Cause we just push your ass in the home. You don't have to feed you. Nothing. You old. You are without leg. This is how the world responds to the old. See, they wish you were dead, and out of the way. You see, just taking up space. You follow me? Drawing all that Social Security money when we need it, the young folk. You stop it. You know what I mean? Let them stop. Get them off the planet. Other than that, you see, if you're in that 65 range, old age, that's you. That's you. You can cover up your grave with makeup and so forth, but you ain't tricking God. You ain't tricking the universe. You know what I mean? They know it's you, another old age person, undercover, on the down right? Same going to be the case. So today, hopefully, we made a little progress. Again, I don't expect us to exhaust this conversation today. It's a conversation that I'm hoping we get started and that your family becomes now your Kula group. You understand what I'm saying? And those of you who are on the path already, practitioners, then you got to become the Muhammad family. You know what I mean? Male or female. I think even in Christianity, Jesus said that you must become the priest of your household. Of course, we're speaking to men now, but that's antiquated. You understand that if you're on the path, you're a priest of your household, male or female. Are you with me? And you're going to have to cool with them. You see, you're going to have to transform your kusan into a satsang. Are you with me? And this is the test. And not just for their sake, but for your own sake as well. Are you with me? Now let's have we got a little time, maybe 10, 15 minutes for some back and forth, any questions, anything I missed you all noticed, please bring it up so that it can go on the record here today. I hope I haven't offended anybody. Yes.
I don't know if you mentioned this, consciousness. What, that doesn't die, does it?
No, it's not born either. Consciousness is, like in terms of physics, we call that non-local. It's not local. It's not something that was the result of time and space. You see, it's not a product of the elements. It's prior to all of that. You see. It's really interesting because, and part of the thing that has occurred as a result of the progress that they made in medicine, particularly in resuscitation medicine and science, right? It's what they call the hard problem, consciousness, how to account for that. And there are different schools of medical sciences and research about that. Some would like to say, well, consciousness is strictly the result of brain, matter, etc. And they argue what they call the neural correlates of consciousness. So when you have a conscious experience, certain parts of the brain lights up and so forth. So therefore, consciousness must be a part of the brain, the neurological. Then there's another school, that says that's not true. Follow what I'm saying? That consciousness itself is something prior to the body. So. And they're gaining more ground because that's rare now in the research, right? We said before that if you have a person that is clinically dead, right, for all practical purposes, they are actually clinically dead. There's no heartbeat, there's no respiration, and there's no brain activity. You see, if you go to an EEG, you'll see no brain activity. They're dead, so they say. But then they do some CPR, right? They stimulate the heart again, get it beating again, right? That oxygen that they're giving that body, they're replenishing the oxygen, right? Starting the heartbeat, the blood is flowing again, delivering oxygen to the right parts of the body, mind, and your eyes open. Interesting, because if there was death in the absolute sense of that which was in, we call ourselves, how can it be resuscitated back into the body? You can't bring something back that you just said don't exist. So they're dismissing it. So what you're seeing is a kind of conversion now between those scientists working in the field of resuscitation medicine, the Buddha, the Kabir, the Dadu, and Patanjali Maharaji, and the ancient gurus and mystics all over the world. Finally, they're on the same page. You see? So those who are just anti-spirituality, but really cannot deny the results of science, they can't run from that. Are you with me? So it's really interesting. So consciousness, awareness, and is the self. And that has to be experienced by you. Because it's already the case right now. Are you with me? And so you have to do that kind of inquiry. Otherwise, you would say, can I really be consciousness? But what's saying that? And who's aware of you even saying that? Are you with me? To say that I am not consciousness is to say that you don't exist. How can you even say that? Consciousness, awareness is what's seeing, what's seeing. The body is matter, dead. It's not sentient. What's sentient is what's in this body, which is the self. And that's the original meaning of this word soul, right? And among the Greeks it was psyche. The psyche, right? Psyche meant soul. Later on, when the Christians converted this word, you see, and use it in their own doctrines and so forth. A psyche in ancient, what do you mean by that? Self. It became so later, but the original understanding of the word psyche was self. Self. Thyself. And in ancient canon, as you all know, scholars of African mysticism and religious teaching, you see, they understood this thing. You see, so the first teachings of reality was know thyself, capital S. Not your biographical self, because that's not self, that's just that's something you invented. That's your own invention, ego mythology, some shit you made up about yourself that has no ground in the reality whatsoever, right? Follow what I'm saying? Know thyself. Capital S. Foundation. That's where you start. You see? Today, even after all these millennia, wherever you go in the world where there's an authentic parampara and lineage and stream of mysticism, it's going to be the same teaching. Ramana Maharshi may just call it self-inquiry. You understand what I'm saying? Atman. Same thing. Inquire into the nature of yourself, know thyself. Just another way of language. In the same, it's the same timeless principle. You must get knowledge of yourself. You see, Atma, Vidya, knowledge of self, same thing. Can't get around it. It's like death. Can't get around it. It is basic knowledge. You must have it in order for any kind of spiritual evolution to take place. It's what jumpstarts the spiritual process of transformation from ignorance to knowledge, you see. But in our times, you see, we just read things, we collect things, we come together. You all have, we have satsang, we come to satsang, and we talk for 3 hours, and then we leave and say, oh boy, I got more, I did some real spiritual growth today. That was a good satsang. You know what I mean? I went 10 feet higher. It's just talk. Talk. Talk mysticism. That's all. Just talk. You follow me? In those traditions that represents the real process, you know, that people talk about, well, I'm in the yoga, I'm in the meditation, but Patanjali Maharaji, one of the acknowledged authority on it, you see, for millions of years, especially for those who are practitioners who really understand the genius of Patanjali Maharaji. You see, the author of the Yoga Sutras, right? And they define what meditation, what yoga is all about, right? So he said that, now that I have a little time to spread my wings, right? Yoga, chitta, vritti, naroda. Yoga is the cessation of the thinking process. That's yoga. That's meditation. Meditation, not sitting there, think. That's not meditation. Meditation, like yoga, is the cessation of this thinking. You're trying to think yourself somewhere. How are you going to do that? Now, how are you going to go beyond thinking? How are you going to do that? How are you going to go beyond thinking when you ain't even thinking, you just talking? You way down the scale. You a long way away. You see, you just talking, just saying some shit, repeating some shit you don't read in the book or heard somebody else say. You see? Further on, and many of us have not really engaged in the Yoga Sutras beyond the outline of the yamas and the yamas and all that stuff, right? But Patanjali Maharaji goes on to describe over 190 different forms of vrittis, that has to be overcome. Right? Interesting. Each sutra is more, it's 96 sutras or something like that. And each of those sutras describe a kind of pattern of thinking that you got to overcome here. It's the work, this is sadhana, you see. One of them, I don't remember which one, you all scholars, not me. But one of them, number 7 or 9, said something like, and I was talking to a group, I guess last night, day before, who knows, I'm old. I have to give these spiritual people something for their time and energy. Otherwise, they say it was a bad workshop. Bad meal, some intellectual stuff. Sadhajana. Buddhas like to be accurate and technical. She wants to correct Sanskrit, so I'm nervous, making sure I don't understand. Very simple. Sadhajana anupati vastu sunya vikapa. What it's really saying is that this verbal knowledge you got, this intellectual knowledge, this talking knowledge, this ability to talk about all these spiritual things, this sadhajana, talking stuff, right? It's one of the virtues that has to be transcended, right? He said, this sadhajana anupati. Anupati means results in, sequences to, right? Vasta, nothing, no object, no concrete, no nothing, no experience, no nothing, right? And it just becomes a sunya. Y'all know sunya means empty, right? Sunya, empty, vikapa, concept, empty concept. You see? Now, what's so dangerous about this? Because in this, psychologically, what Patanjali Maharaji had just described for us 1,000 years ago was the underlying mechanism that generates self-delusion. Right? You're talking about, pontificating about, having great discussion about something you haven't even experienced. You're living in the realm of your beliefs. You see? Truth. Sunya vikapa. An empty concept, an empty belief that is not grounded in any actual experience. You believe in this, oh, so-and-so going to do this, and this going to happen, and at the time of this, and at the time of that, I'm going to be saved miraculously. You just believing in shit that is not grounded in no experience whatsoever. You are deluded, and what happens is that you live in your belief-based reality, which is totally divorced from the reality. Are you following my argument? You understand? You're collecting words, you collecting teachings, none of which you have experienced whatsoever. And any knowledge that you claim you have that is not grounded in your experience, that's pure imagination, pure fantasy, pure speculation. It's not jhana. You understand the difference? I mean, really, you understand? But we have to really understand. We have all kinds of belief about ourselves, about the world, and others that are created entirely in our own mind. Just like we live in it every day, right? We walk around believing I will not die, right? Right? I will not die. That's a belief. Is that reality?
No.
Come on, y'all playing with me. I feel good. Is that reality?
No.
You walking around believing you're not going to die. Right. You walking around believing that you're not going to get okay. You walking around believing that shit wrong happened to you. You walking around thinking that life is going to be hunky-dory and that this is utopia. Are you in reality?
No.
You understand what I'm saying? I can walk around, do nothing for nobody, love nobody, and everybody can love me. Are you in reality? Are you in reality?
No, uninvestigated.
I can do, say whatever I feel like to people. If I mean so damn what, I can be mean, no big deal. Are you in reality?
No.
That's what you believe. It's what you believe. And you came through the door believing it, and you're going to probably go out the door believing it still. Because this kind of knowledge, verbal knowledge, talking knowledge, it evaporates. This will be gone by the time y'all walk down the stairs. Unless you put in the work. Right? What is called nididhyasana. You got to practice your understanding. Why can't you practice your understanding? I'm not against acquiring all that information from the literature. That's good. Nothing wrong with that. Question is, why can't you live that? You collecting it, good, that's good. Learn the Yoga Sutra and learn the Yoga Vasista and the Astravata Gita and all of the holy scriptures as high as you can stack. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Problem is, if you are not able to translate that understanding into your actual life and living, then what are you doing? You're just talking. What is this? You're deluding yourself. Are you with me?
Yeah.
You can't do nididhyasana. And why? Because you're scared. Fundamentally. You full of fear. See, remember what we said, the meditation and the getting straight spiritual processes, it's the sadhana. It's just like in death and dying, right? What do you got to do in death? Die. You got to what? Relax, right?
Right.
Draw the attention.
Let go, right? Cooperate and give up what? Okay. Swami Ji Maharaji, one of the founding saints of the Radha Swami tradition, one that Bilal and Manikamara and so forth, Radha really initiated into, said it very clearly. Give up thy fear and do thy devotion. He didn't say give up your wife and children. He didn't say go read a Himalayan mountain of books. He said give up your fear. You've already understood enough, haven't you? But you are looking for something that, well, the more understanding I can get, the more spiritual knowledge I can get, it'll reach a certain level, and voila! You know what I mean? It will crescendo and transform. No, information is never transformed anybody. Nididhyasana is the work. You got to give up your fear. What are you afraid of? This. You don't want to mess with this. This. Right? You don't mess up that comfort zone. Right? You don't mess with that ego. Right? You don't mess with your ego, right? True? True. It's not like you don't know what to do. You're scared. Fire. Yeah, you're scared. Sir. So you're scared while living, you're scared while dying, and you're going to be scared in the after-death by those. I rest my case. All right. I think we had enough for the day. Let's clear the room quickly.
All right, if you want one of those forms that a lot of you just read,
Oh, yes.
they're in the back of the table. If you want to purchase a book, you can come do it at this time. If you want some snacks,
Also,